Got Nick Fuentes back in the house.
Yeah. What's up, brother?
What's up?
How you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
You still in Chicago?
I'm still in Chicago,
Man,
yeah.
Get the hell out of there. You got crazy women knocking on your door?
Yeah. Then somebody showed up at my house with a gun.
Thank God you're okay.
Yeah, thank
God
you.
is looking out for you and Trump.
Yes, yeah, seems so.
You was with Kanye. Y'all still pretty close?
Yeah, we still talk.
Yo, you know I'm here with my white supremacist homeboy.
I'm on the plane, I'm thinking to myself, am I gonna be in a swastika t-shirt and a Klan robe? I'm like, what's that gonna do for my image? You know? He could get away with it, he's black. If I'm in a swastika shirt, I'm never gonna live that down. I don't wanna live around black people. I just don't. They make me nervous.
I got money now, right? So I want to live with white people. Guess I'm safe.
The problem is not black people's blackness. You know, if you guys moved next door, it wouldn't be a problem. But
Hey, let me push back on it. If I was you, I wouldn't trust me.
yeah. Good times create weak men. Weak men create bad times. Sort of like good crime laws create good times. Good times make people think the crime laws are racist. And then, you know,
There you go.
the cycle repeats. Here's the problem as a white person. You can either be Daniel Penny or Austin Metcalf. What's next? A white woman's going to touch a black woman's hair and she's going to get stabbed in the face. You know? Don't touch my hair. You can't touch my hair.
Your black voice is better than my black voice.
Everything you're saying, they already thinking it. You just got the balls to say it.
I mean, the women's a huge part of it because, like you said, they think differently. They're way more empathetic. They're kind of just like suckers, you know?
That was perfect. Suckers.
If only men voted, every state goes red. If only women voted, every state goes blue.
Right.
All you need to know.
When shit hits the fan, what do all women do? They start screaming.
Yeah, right. They're like an alarm, you know? That's like to get a male to pay attention.
Wow, man, you call women suckers? And you call them alarm clock.
Trump is a Zionist. He got money from the Israel lobby to become president. They set it up where now they're going to restart the war in Gaza. That's the on-ramp to get the United States to bomb Iran.
Synagogue of Satan. Who do you think they was referring to?
It's pretty obvious, I think.
Yeah, I got a new show for y'all.
Got a damn good show.
Got Nick Fuentes back in the house.
Yeah. What's up, brother?
What's
How
up?
you doing? How you
Good.
doing?
How you guys doing?
Doing good. Nice to see you again, man.
Yeah, likewise. Good to see you.
Yeah. You still in Chicago?
I'm still in Chicago,
Man,
yeah.
get the hell out of there. You got crazy women knocking on your door?
Yeah. Killers, yeah. Well, it's ironic, the demographic. You know, in Chicago, I'm getting crazy Jewish woman, some young white guy.
Oh, she was Jewish?
Yeah, turned out to be Jewish after the fact, which is
really?
surprising.
How did they all go down?
Well,
What led up to that?
You know, on the night of the election, I put out a tweet. I said, "Your body, my choice,"
Right,
which is just flipping around the, my body, my choice. So I put that out there. And the irony is, I didn't even vote for Trump.
Yeah.
I was telling people not to vote. But on the night of the election, we were all having fun. It was just good to see Trump win and Kamala lose. So I just put that out there to be funny. And it blew up. It got like 100 million views on Twitter. People were talking about it on the news. And then...
All because of that quote?
Yeah, just for the tweet. It was...
What's that quote again?
Your body, my choice.
Did you see how that could trigger a woman, right?
Yeah, I could see. Well, and the best part is
here
I
it is.
said... here we
Here
go.
it is.
Bodies. Guess what? Guys win again. Okay? Men win again. And yes, we control your bodies. Hi. I'm your Republican congressman. Hi. I'm your Republican congressman. It's your body, my choice. And men, women again. Men win again. There will never, ever be a female president. Never. There will never be a female president. Ever. Ever. Glass ceiling. Dude, it's a ceiling made of fucking bricks. You will never break it. Your stupid face keeps hitting the brick ceiling. We will keep you down forever. You will never control your own bodies. You will never be the president. Yeah, so they turned that into a sound on TikTok. Women put that on TikTok, and they were
really?
crying while that was playing. When that was the audio.
Yeah.
So, this thing blows up. And it turns into an international incident practically. And so then at the same time that's going viral, people started posting my address. And then my address went viral.
That's crazy.
And so I had probably the weekend after the election, maybe 50 or 100 people show up at my house.
Wow.
People throwing eggs in my front door, taking pictures, walking through my backyard.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like, it was unbelievable. I never saw anything like that. Yeah. And then, I don't want to talk too specifically about it because I got charged for battery in connection to this, which is ongoing. But this woman comes to my house looking for trouble. And I'm not going to say anything else about that. Let's just say, maybe she found the trouble she was looking for. Found some good trouble, right?
Right.
But and then it kept going. Then somebody showed up at my house a month later with a gun. Some
I
kid.
didn't see that.
Yeah. Some kid showed up. And I was doing my show. I was in the middle of my live stream. I heard somebody screaming outside, which had happened already. So I thought, it's some nut job. So I said, I'll finish my show quickly. I'll see what's going on. I'll take care of it. Well, I finished my show. My producer had called the cops, and he shows me the security footage. The guy had a gun. He had a gun and a crossbow. I said, oh my gosh, what's going on? Is he still there? Did they arrest him? He goes, he ran away. I said, okay. So I go upstairs to get dressed, get changed, whatever. I hear gunshots outside.
Yeah.
So he had showed up with a gun. There he is. He showed up. That's a crossbow. It's like an automatic crossbow with a magazine that he put on that sidewall. That's a 22 pistol he has in his hand. And so it had turned out he showed up with a gun. He had committed triple homicide earlier in the day, killed 3 people in Southern Illinois.
Really?
Drove 2 hours up to my front door with the gun, with the crossbow, apparently to try to assassinate me. Cops showed up. They chased him through the yard. He went into a neighbor's house, broke in, killed their dogs, came back outside, shot at the cops. Cops shot him in the head and killed him.
Well, you don't have to worry about him anymore.
Yeah, he's gone.
How did I not hear about that?
I know. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
They covered it up. And I tweeted about it the next day. I said, someone tried to kill me at my house last night. And the media said it was an alleged assassination attempt.
Right. That's the one I saw.
I'm like, alleged? He had a gun.
I actually saw a post and they said this was all staged.
Right.
To help you with your
Yes.
case.
Yes.
And that's all I saw.
Yeah.
I didn't hear nothing about this. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's the only one I saw.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. Even, this happened in my neighborhood, happened in Chicago, and I know people that were home for Christmas break. That was a week before Christmas. They saw the story about the triple homicide that the kid had committed. None of them had heard anything about me, any connection to me. And it's not like it's about me necessarily, but it was like a major point. It was a huge story in my city. People heard about it, but no one in the media said that he came and tried to assassinate me as a political person. They just buried that part.
Crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
If he was if you were black and the people he killed were black, it would be everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Thank God you're okay.
Yeah. Thank
God
you.
is looking out for you and Trump.
Yes. Yeah. Seems so. A little too close for comfort there, but they're looking out for me.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know what the hell you still doing in Chicago.
I know. Yeah. I'm trying to get out of there.
You grew up there, right?
I did. Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in the suburbs, but it's all downhill, especially lately. These teen takeovers. It's like these.
That's
you see these?
crazy. Yeah, but unfortunately, it's happened all over the United States for some reason.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's this crime wave ever since George Floyd. I think they changed rules of engagement with the cops, emboldened all the criminals, and so. In L.A., it's property crime. L.A., San Francisco, it's a lot of, they break into your car. You just can't leave any of your belongings in a parked car.
They got Keith. They stole stuff out of him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got money now, right? So I want to live with white people. So we move in this white neighborhood.
Right? I'm like, yes, I'm safe.
Right? And then somebody breaks my car. My wife has a bad habit of not locking the door because of where we live. So there were a bunch of black kids door checking. And they opened our car, had my checkbook, and I was dumb on my part, but got all my personal information or whatever. And we knew they were black because the Ring cameras in the neighborhood. And everybody said, yes, a bunch of black niggers just running around. That's what they said. And then Kevin said, "Hey man, our business bank account was in the car, right? Because I just wrote a check for something, I forget." And he's like, "You need to report it and order new checks." I said, "All right, I get around to it." About a week go by, I totally forget about it, and somebody wrote a check for how much was it?
$5 grand.
Or was it
Wow.
10 grand?
I think it's $5 grand.
It was $5 grand.
Yeah.
And the name on the check was John Smith.
Nah. Nice
I'm like,
going.
how does this go through?
Yeah.
You know?
It went through?
Yeah.
Wow.
It came out of my account, so I had to file a claim or whatever. And it was a nightmare filing a claim because the chick was black and she was horrible. She had this horrible attitude.
You're getting it from both ends.
I'm like, man, Scott Adams is right. And I'm not even lying about that. Had a horrible attitude.
Yeah.
I actually called back the next day and just make sure she did everything, and there was no notes in there. So I think she knew who I was. That's happened before. They knew who I was. Oh, this is Keith Hodge. He hates black people. He hates himself.
Somebody stole your checkbook.
Right. So I think that's what it was about. But I called back and they took care of it.
Hey, I was going to ask you, I came across a video you was with Kanye. Y'all still pretty close?
Yeah. We still talk pretty sporadically.
Yeah.
So I've known him for a few years now. And
Who starts the conversation? Does Kanye just call you up 3 o'clock in the morning? Hey, what are you doing?
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick. We back. Yo, you know I'm here with my white supremacist homeboy, Nick. We back.
So he actually wears that swastika.
Oh, yeah. He's very proud of it. He loves it. Well, and I was over there and, you know, he's got the KKK robe also. That's his other.
Is it the black one? Where it's all black?
Well, he's got 3. He's got a black one, a white one, and a red one.
Really?
And he's proud of them. They're leather. They're very nice. They're very because, you know, you'd think a lot of these, I think they're better than the actual KKK uniform.
Right.
The actual KKK uniform looks like a sheet.
Right.
Yeah, these are like leather. That's like a custom job.
It's like the execution.
So he went out and get a custom swastika for his
Oh,
necklace.
it's like the Louis Vuitton of Klansmen robes and the bejeweled custom
Wow.
He was telling me, he said, he's doing a project with the Klan robes. And he said, you know, I was going to have him wear the swastika. He goes, but man, I paid a lot of money for this. He's like, I want to wear it. I'm like, yeah, I can see why. You know, it's a statement piece.
Right.
But he's about it. He's more hardcore than me.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to go out there to LA and I'm on the plane. I'm thinking to myself, am I going to be in a swastika t-shirt and a Klan robe? I'm like, what's that going to do for my image? You know? He could get away with it. He's black. If I'm in a swastika shirt, I'm never going to live that down. So
Yeah, I got some images, some video of him walking around with a white T-shirt with a black swastika.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's looking right at the paparazzi.
yeah,
He's like standing there like this, like he's Superman. It's so funny.
peacocking, with the swastika shirt.
Yeah.
He's funny, but
And how is he? People try to say he's crazy and he's not all there and he's having an episode or something. Look, that's the video right there.
yeah. He's good, you know.
Yeah.
I saw him last year and he wasn't looking so good. I think he was having some health issues, but I saw him a few weeks ago. He looked great, looked skinny.
Oh.
And they're always making stuff up about him. They say he's crazy, he's not stable. Every time I've met him, he's on the ball.
Yeah.
He's lucid, extremely high energy.
Right.
This guy works. And I say this, and my followers who may be more racist than me, they give me shit. Because I go on my show and I'm like, I really do, and I'm not just saying this. I really do deeply admire him. He's got this work ethic that's unbelievable. Wakes up at the crack of dawn and works from 4 a.m. until midnight.
Wow.
Never seen anything like it. And he's doing music. You know, he'll literally be chopping beats himself. He's got records, box of records, producers. Then he'll go and do the music video. Then he'll go and take a look at the shirts, sweatshirts, the fashion stuff. Then he'll go and do the political thing. And it's all day. It's all in the same room. And he's just like a conductor, like of a symphony, doing one thing, then the next, traveling throughout the city. It's unbelievable. So, he's really amazing.
I was in the studio where y'all was at.
Yes.
Some people, I think I seen a video of it. It's like huge.
Yeah.
The studio, it's like breathtaking.
Yeah, it's this huge warehouse. He's got these big LED video walls. And that in itself, if you know anything about the production, it's super high-end stuff. He's got The Matrix playing on one screen, Star Wars on the other,
Really?
and then he's playing Last of Us in the middle.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's a gamer.
Oh, he's a huge gamer. Huge
Really?
gamer, loves movies. That's his thing.
I'd like to meet Kanye.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a pretty incredible guy. At the next KKK rally, the cross burning, I'll invite you guys.
Oh, this is in his studio?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So where does he keep the Klan outfits in?
That's the only thing he takes with him. You know? He travels light, travels around with like a duffel bag full of Klan robes and swastikas.
Wow. He's got to have. I know he's got to have security.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like he's like the president when he moves. It's nuts. He didn't used to. You know, years ago when I was with him for the presidential campaign, he was going around, he'd say, God's my security. You know, I don't need security, but now he's got a pretty secure.
God told him, no, you need security.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So you need, you know,
You
I
see
mean,
what
that's
they did
nice.
to
But,
Jesus.
yeah,
God, too.
right. You're right.
Wow. So lately you've been going back and forth with damn, I'm having a Biden moment. Jason Whitlock.
Jason Whitlock.
Yeah. How did that all start? On Twitter, right?
Yeah, well, it happened over this kid who was killed in Texas, this Austin Metcalf,
Oh, okay.
who got stabbed in the chest.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, I went on my show. Here's the thing. When something like that happens, these like interracial killings, the only thing you're allowed to say as a white person is, well, if the shoe were on the other foot, there would be outrage. You know, that's the only thing you're allowed to say. They say if it was George Floyd, people would be marching, rioting. When a white kid is killed, no one does anything.
Right. Yeah.
And I said, you know, but that's really not saying anything. You know, that's a sentiment which it really just says, well, the left is hypocritical. There's a double standard on race. But it doesn't really express, in my opinion, what white people are feeling. What white people are feeling is, why are we putting up with this stuff?
Right.
You know, and it's like you said, you move to a white neighborhood, you make money. We live in America. It's 21st century. We don't want to deal with these problems.
Right.
And it just so happens that it is these young black adolescents that's doing it in Chicago and wherever. And so I went on my show after that killing and said, you know, like, we're just kind of done with that. We don't want to live near this. Because here's the problem as a white person. You can either be Daniel Penny or Austin Metcalf. You can either be someone that takes a stand and defends yourself, or you make a rash judgment and you're either in jail or you're a racist. If you defend yourself, you get charged with murder by a liberal DA, or if you're wrong, then you're a white supremacist, racist, you're super judgmental, you're canceled.
Yeah, you can't just be a white guy who made a mistake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then on the other side, if you're not racist enough or not careful enough, if you're Austin Metcalf, you make the mistake of confronting the wrong black adolescent, you're dead. You forfeit your life. And if that's how it's going to be, who wants to live in that neighborhood where you're walking down the street at night and you look over your shoulder, if you cross the street and it's a good black person, you're a racist. If you don't cross the street and they're a predator, you're dead. It's no win situation, right? So,
A predator.
tell you this. Well, you know, a predator, opportunist.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect adjective, predator.
You know, because obviously not every black person's a predator, and
Right.
but there are these opportunists that are they're crawling the streets at night looking for people, not paying attention, young girls, young men.
Yeah.
And so I said on my show, I said, white people don't want to live near black people, if that's what it's. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
the clip.
I don't want to live around black people. I just don't. It would be irresponsible if I had a wife and kids to live near black people. It just would be. And that's not to say that every black person is violent. It's not to say that every black person is the same way. But we watch the news. We read the papers. When you drive downtown in Chicago, you know who you got to look out for and worry about when you're thinking about whether you're going to get carjacked, when you're worried about catching a stray bullet, when you're worried about who's going to pull up on the side of the road and literally shove a rifle in your face and steal your iPhone or shoot you point blank, execution style, in Lincoln Park. We know who's doing it. I don't want to live near them. I don't want to be near them. They make me nervous. That's a survival instinct. And the way this story unfolded, it's sort of interesting. Apparently, this white student, this Austin Metcalf, confronted a friend of the killer, presumably black also, and said something like, hey, you're sitting in the wrong spot. You're in my spot, something like this. And that's when the black guy jumped in and stabbed him to death. Unfortunately, we just don't know. When you're on the subway, when you're driving in your car, when you're in the city streets, you don't know whether the black person in proximity to you is one of the good ones or one of the ones who is going to summon an unbelievable, I mean, literally, for people like us, an unthinkable level of spontaneous brutality, senseless and merciless violence in an instant. We don't know. There's ambiguity. You're sitting on a subway. You look across. You see someone acting strange or aggressive. Is this someone who is going to pull out a knife and in 2 seconds slit my throat and kill me? Or is this just someone who's having a bad day? We don't know. I'm not willing to risk my life to find out. It's not worth it to me. I'm not willing to put myself in a position to find out.
Scott Adams couldn't have said it no better himself.
Hey everybody, it's your only 2 favorite black guys, and we got a new favorite giveaway. This Jeep Rubicon, candy apple red. Yeah, lifted. Yeah, fully loaded. Hey fellas, women love Jeeps. This is crazy. And the reason why we do this, because y'all support us. So we're gonna support you. You know, we're some good guys. Even if we are black, we like to give back. Y'all support us, so we give back to y'all. Who else doing this? Ain't nobody doing that. But y'all are paying my bills, I ain't gonna lie. Y'all want me on food stamps like all the rest of them? I'm working for my money. Go to officialhodgetwins.com. Anything you buy on our site, get you automatically entered to win all our giveaways. No purchase necessary. All boy prohibited. See official rules for details.
Because what you was pretty much trying to explain to everybody, you're talking about urban black neighborhoods. I don't want to live in an urban black neighborhood.
Yeah,
I don't want to.
Black people that become rich and famous, they don't want to live there neither.
Yeah.
But it's a problem when you say it.
Yes, right, exactly.
Nobody wants to live in the hood.
Nobody.
The
And those
poor
things
people-
happen in the hood to black people all the time.
Yeah, poor people who live in the hood, they don't want to live there, but they have no options. They don't have no means to get out. So
They stuck.
I don't know. I remember I was in the Marine Corps. I lived in San Diego. I was like 1920, and I lived in a black neighborhood. I came out because I would leave to go to work at like 4 a.m. There's a bullet hole in the side of my Geo Metro.
Yeah.
Had a lime green Geo Metro. That's how I learned how to drive a stick.
Yeah.
And it had a bullet hole in the side of it.
Yeah.
I get in the car, I turn around, I go up to the stop sign, which is maybe about 100 feet away so I can get on the freeway. There's a prostitute right there. And she looked at me like this, and then she said, I was like, she must have just got done sucking somebody off. And I lived in black neighborhoods, and I was like, when I was growing up, I said, man, when I get the money, I'm going to go live in the white neighborhood.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Black people don't want to live in black neighborhoods. But it's only part of when white people say it, though.
Right. Well, and here's what I always say. The problem is not black people's blackness, which is the issue. If you guys move next door, it wouldn't be a problem because I know you guys are going to be gangbanging or whatever. But
hey, let me push back on it. I wouldn't. If I was you, I wouldn't trust me.
Yeah.
Some things you just can't deny. I mean, I still got that gene.
Well, if I just saw you,
I'm not homeless.
I wouldn't trust that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem is that, unfortunately, a stereotype, which is based in reality, is that when you live in a black neighborhood, you're going to get this set of problems. You're going to get violence. You're going to get mayhem, chaos. And it's not even just that. It's just rudeness, people being inconsiderate. And if people associated with black people with being friendly, being kind, being peaceful, no one would have an issue. People say, oh, great, black people moving in the neighborhood. It's awesome. Property value's going to go up. You know?
That's not what's going to happen.
No. So, that's the issue. And so, you know, I said that, and Jason Whitlock, you know, he's super Christian, as am I. And he said, well, you know, this is an attempt to incite racial hatred between white and black people, to divide up the races with this, you know, with this incendiary rhetoric. And I said, look, here's the problem. You can reconcile white and black people with Christianity. But in my opinion, that happens second. What has to happen first is law and order. Unfortunately, you have this cycle in America where you have very good laws, safety, you know, you have police are active enforcing the law. And then you get the activists that come in and say, oh, there's too many black people in jail. There's too much police brutality. So people say, oh, all right, you know, we're going to ease up. We're going to, mass incarceration is a problem. Police brutality is a problem. We're going to let them go. Then the violence gets out of control. Then you get, you know, the crack epidemic. Then you get, you know, the 80s, 90s. People go, oh, it's out of control. We need the crime bill. We need the cops back on the street. We need stop and frisk. So then it's good for, you know, 20 more years. Some people say, police are racist. We got to get rid of the cops.
I think that was a good law they passed.
Yeah,
Stop
it
and
is.
frisk, it is. To get criminals off the street.
Yeah, but this is the cycle. It's like this amnesia where it's that classic meme. You know, good times create weak men create bad times. Sort of like good crime laws create good times. Good times make people think the crime laws are racist, and then you know,
There you go.
the cycle repeats.
Right.
So you know, so what I'm saying is, enforce the laws. And by the way, the biggest beneficiary would be the black people themselves. It's like you said. Who's hurt by this? Occasionally it's white people. But the vast majority of people that are killed are black people. The people that live in poverty are the black people. It's those neighborhoods that can't have a Walmart because of all the shoplifting. So you enforce the laws. Unfortunately, there's going to be disproportionate, you know, representation. There's going to be more blacks in jail. But you got to arrest every lawbreaker. And then once you get the worst of the worst off the streets, the worst predators, opportunists, then you can reconcile the people with Christianity. But, you know, if you want to evangelize to these people in Chicago, I mean, be my guest. But I don't think you're going to get through. When you see these videos, unfortunately, a lot of them are just lost. And, you know.
I mean, they made a whole show around that. First 48? That's a documentary of the culture of black folks. Have you seen that?
No.
You haven't seen the First 48?
No.
It's on
that show made me racist.
It's like it's the first 48 hours. They just track the point where somebody's killed and the first 48 hours of the investigation. Primarily, you see black people killing black people, but there are some white people.
Yeah, like 1 out of every 100. Yeah, but it's predominantly just.
Oh, I mean, of
and
course,
they're killing
of
each
course.
other over the most trivial things. It's just. It's shocking.
Yeah, the reason why black people have something against your message that you showed is because they don't believe that black people are dangerous any more than white people. They actually think you are being racist by making those accusations that don't exist, but they're 100% factually true. That's why what you said does not bother me at all. I know it's true.
Because you're pretty basically talking about niggas. I'm a black male. He has a problem with niggas. And me being a black male, we can't stand niggas either.
I mean, Chris Rock had a famous joke. And it was funny as hell when he said it, but
Let's go to that tweet, man. You made a great point when y'all was going back and forth. Jason Whitlock said, every bit as godless and stupid as your critics say. Your Ray Epps 2.0, I can't say it, pointing foolish believers.
Shut up, you fucking dumb nigga.
I can't see it. I can't
let me see it. I can see it. You're every bit as godless and stupid as your critics say. Your Ray Epps 2.0 pointing foolish believers into a building that will burn them down for eternity. Many of the people captured by the wickedness of black culture can claim ignorance. You know exactly what you're doing, demon. See, I don't think it's ignorance of the black community. You can't teach a conscience. You can't teach that. The enemy is paying people on social media to promote racial division and conflict. The aftermath of Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony is a psyop.
I don't think that's a sign.
No, don't fall for it. Stand on the word. Rebuke any so-called believer and not pointing to Christ.
Don't you think in his message, in a roundabout way, he's saying black people are incapable of rational thought and white people are superior, so we're going to give them a pass? Pretty much he's saying white people, black people are inferior to whites with that message. Because I don't think they can claim ignorance.
Right.
Yeah.
Black people are not vegetables. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's sort of the issue is, you know, you have this new breed of conservatives where they want to hide behind the cross. They're pushing like a BLM woke. It's exactly like you're saying. They used to call it the soft bigotry of low expectations, reverse racism, whatever. And now you have conservatives with the exact same mentality, which fundamentally means blacks have no accountability.
Right.
You know, like you said in the tweet, they can claim ignorance. What does that mean? It means they're not culpable. You know, they're not responsible. They have no agency. We can't blame them.
Their IQs are very low.
Right.
They can't help themselves. When they rob somebody, they steal a car. They're wired that way.
I don't know.
Hey, I think your response to him, I love your response. What you said.
So tired of hearing that black crime is caused by black culture. For some reason, rap music doesn't make white people steal cars and shoot people.
Yeah.
It only works on black people.
That was a great response.
Thanks. Well, yeah, I mean,
And it
because
made me rejudge the things I'm saying. I keep saying about black people.
Yeah.
Man, it's our culture, it's the music, it's in the movies, but that's just an excuse.
Yeah, and he's coming from this point of view that you're teaching white people to be racist. Everything you're saying, they already thinking it. You just got the balls to say it.
Right.
So you're not. It's white people know what's up.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
I knew what was up when I was like 12 years old.
Right.
I said, I'm gonna play with Scott. I'm not playing with fucking Tyrone over there. I mean, the first gun that was ever put on me was at 12 years old, and it was a black kid, and we were on the basketball team together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Going into basketball practice.
Yeah. That's crazy.
know
I still
that?
remember that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's true. That's what I intend to do with the show is, I mean, I'm expressing my opinion, but I'm also speaking for a lot of people that don't want to offend or they don't want to get canceled. And unfortunately, as far as we've come, because people have woken up a lot on a lot of different issues, people are still paralyzed out of fear of being called racist, saying the wrong thing, offending people. And the reality is that I think that race, it's one of those things you're never going to fully bridge that divide. You know, you have white people, you have black people. They're different. They identify differently. And this idea that we're going to be so Christian, we're going to overcome that, or so American, I don't think it's going to happen. And that doesn't mean we have to hate each other. I think we could live in harmony. And I think, you know, we could strive for understanding and empathy. But, you know, the idea that the only reason we're set in conflict is because of racists dividing us or the media or the culture, it's just not true. People are tribal. It's who we are. It's in our genetics. And nothing's going to change that.
I think
this one Carmelo Anthony case, it really, you know, it should open a lot of people's eyes how tribal we can be, because when Daniel Penny, what happened with him on the subway with that Michael Jackson impersonator, a lot of white people came to his aid. A lot of people came to his aid and donated money to him to help him in his defense, which I understand why. I don't think it was a racist. I don't think then it was because they're racist. But then you look at Carmelo Anthony, where here's a black kid who obviously did something wrong. He should have never had that knife. But you see a lot of black people defending him, not because he was right. It's because they're defending him because he's black.
Yep.
Almost $500,000 they found.
Yeah, it's up to $500,000.
Yeah, but if the shoe was on the other foot, the circumstances was the same, just the races were reversed, white people would not embrace what
exactly.
happened.
That's the difference I want to point out when it comes to black and white. Culturally, I mean, spiritually, I mean, you go on Facebook, TikTok, it's black people, black pastors defending that kid's
They're comparing
actions.
Carmelo Anthony to Rosa Parks.
Yep.
I mean, they're not even comparing apples to oranges. They're comparing apples with hairy nuts. it's like low IQ, low capacity.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can really call it.
No. Yeah.
nuts.
They trying to say self-defense.
Right.
Like, and they even brought up the accusation that if you tell somebody to leave, that's bullying.
Right.
I was like, how did you reach that point when you consider that bullying?
Yeah.
You have
I'm
to
on
be
TikTok and I'm
mentally
looking at
stupid.
everybody's reaction
Yes.
about what happened.
Well, it's like you said, it's
between
just pure-
Metcalf and
Okay.
Carmelo Anthony, right? And the black reaction is what you expect.
But white people, obviously not all of you, so let me just get that out the way. But a bunch of y'all are just a bunch of racist, bigoted crisis actors.
People really believe that that kid had the right to tell Carmelo to move. This kid wasn't working security. He wasn't given no responsibility. He wasn't the seat manager. Like, if that kid would have just minded his own business, would he or would he not still be alive?
Officer got unalived. A lot of people are trying to make it a race issue, and it's not. It has nothing to do with that right there. This was self-defense.
And this is
crazy.
all over TikTok. I see a lot of posts on Facebook talking about this is self-defense.
Yeah. From one demographic of people.
Yeah, it's all black people.
Did he have any injuries?
Do you see his
This kid?
mugshot? Clean face, nothing.
No scratches, no nothing.
No punches were thrown from what I heard so far. Yeah, it's something wrong with the black community.
I was like, man, you can't be this dumb.
Man, if that was self-defense, the murder rates would go up. You could kill somebody for anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
imagine,
right.
look, what horrible precedents that was set. Okay, what? Do something, I'll kill you. Or do something.
No, get out. Stab me, you stupid.
I don't have it in me. That's why I didn't respond. I'm done. I guess that's my white side talking to me, but that's crazy, man. It's just that whole case is like, man, I just lose all hope, especially when it comes to the black community, because like, why would y'all even put y'all's name, your brand behind defending a kid who obviously is wrong.
Yeah.
Dead wrong.
Well, it's base tribalism. You know, it's like you said, they're sticking with this guy because he's black. And I think what is barely concealed is a contempt for white people, which is, you know, it's like a racial pride thing. When they say Rosa Parks, they say, oh, the era of white people telling black people, you're in the wrong seat is over. You know,
Exactly,
what's next? A white woman's going to touch a black woman's hair and she's going to get stabbed in the face, you know? Shot in the chest. Right. Don't touch my hair. You can't touch my hair.
Your black voice is better than my black voice.
So I practice it more.
Oh, my mama, I feel you. Oh, my mama.
Yeah. But Jason Whitlock, like politically, I align with him a lot. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I guess I think he's showing way too much empathy for the black community because he is black. Yeah. And I've been through that, and I was like, you know what? I'm done with that. I'm just going to stand for what's right, and if what's right that's what I'm going to stand on. So
Yeah.
And I like him. He's a good guy. I was very positive towards him because initially I disagreed with him. I was very positive. I said, you know, I respect him a lot. He's Christian. I agree. Like you said, I agree with him so much. And then he just had this nasty calling me a stupid demon, saying I'm sending people to hell. So uncalled for. But that is another stereotype, is this like crybaby thing that black people do. A lot of it's like an ethnic narcissism. And it's like you said, it's a bit of a blind spot where, you know, a black conservative can be right on 99% of things, but when it comes to race, they want to take their ball and go home. When it comes to race, they want to be a crybaby, play the victim. And I think that's all it is, a blind spot. A lot of white people have it too.
Right.
And not even to be that guy, but in fairness, there's an equal amount of people that I know, white nationalist types, very proud. They'll be the first ones to blast black people and their behaviors. You talk about some of the behaviors of lower class white people, they say, oh, you're against white people, you're against your own kind. It's like, let's be honest, you know? Let's just be honest about who we are, who the other is. So yeah, that's what I'm about. Just you got to be honest.
I think of what happened with Carmelo Anthony. I can speak from experience. Growing up as kids, we just had this natural hostility towards white people because of the past and what black people have been through.
What our parents been through. And
And
they
what
would
our
tell
parents
us
been through.
every day.
Stand
Yeah.
up for yourself. Don't let no white people push you around. So I think what happened was he was sitting there. I'm just speculating. And then some white kid tells him to get up and move. And that's what caused this whole issue.
Overreaction.
It was race. I think it was race.
Yeah.
If they're both black or both white, this doesn't happen.
Right.
I guarantee it.
Totally.
Just because he's black and we come up and we're raised with this natural hostility towards white people, that's why that happened.
Yeah.
That's why it happened.
Yeah, I don't know why. He went to a rival school. I don't know what the area is like, but he's walking around with a knife. I never did that when I was in school.
Frisco, I think, is pretty rough.
Yeah.
I may be wrong on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It's a pride thing, because you could totally imagine how that went down. The guy was like a white football Chad, handsome guy comes up and says, "Hey, pal, you're in the wrong area," or puts his hands on something like that. I'm sure some black kid saying, "I'm not taking shit from this white guy." And I don't know that he intended to kill him necessarily.
I don't think he did. Why else would you stick a knife in your chest? That was nuts.
Yeah. Have you read the police report?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. They never recovered the weapon, right?
I don't think so. No. Yeah, but it's this impulse thing. That's the problem. Is these impulsive behaviors where I'm sure in the moment. But when I say obviously, if you stab somebody, it's a lethal weapon. Like you can't say I didn't know it could kill somebody. But but I'm sure in the moment, that split second, he did the first thing. And now his life is ruined. I mean, deservedly so, obviously, but that is the issue. And I think that is the genetic aspect that people don't talk about. I think that I don't think anybody would disagree. Black people or white people, who has a greater propensity for violence? I think on a genetic basis is black people. In the same way that between Asians and white people, who has a greater propensity for violence? I think definitely white people, and that's just another one of those differences. People attribute it to culture. I attribute it to genetics. It's one among others.
Asians, who has the higher IQs? It's Asian people. Then it's like white people. Then I guess it's Latinos.
Everybody else, and then black people dead last.
I mean, and that's a fact, correct?
Yeah, that's
From
a
what
fact.
I've read up on it, like black people, for whatever reason, and I think when you put anybody in a situation and they have a low capacity to grasp what's going on, that's who's going to commit the most murders, regardless if they're white, black, or whatever. I just think there's I don't know, I hate to say it, but there's
Don't say it. I know what you're going to say.
Well, this is what I'll say. Low IQ, you can find it in all people.
Right.
I just think it's more prevalent in the black community.
Yeah, I think so too. It would explain the number of black people in prison, and IQ scores back me up on that. Affirms everything I just said. If you look at IQ scores, it predominantly tells you who's going to be
I
more
don't know
successful.
what's going on here. It's like this is all over social media, especially with like black women. I don't get that.
The first thing they go for is that weave.
Yeah, that's low IQ right there. All the way. Why would you do that, man?
Hey, Joe, I don't want to look at this.
You making this white man look at
gratuitous.
Joe swears up and down I like black women that big. Oh, man.
Hey, let me ask you this. Back to Whitlock's point. Do you think the record labels and the rap music has some part of the blame when it comes to the black community?
Certainly. I mean, it's certainly not helping. And I do think it exacerbates it because this is something my grandma always used to say. I've been in Chicago for generations. My family's been there. And, my ancestors were Italian immigrants, Italian, Irish, Mexican immigrants 100 years ago. And so my grandma grew up in the projects with many black people. And, she always used to say, that actually, she would look across the window in her project apartment or whatever, and she saw a black family across the way that was more functional than her own family. She said they would hold hands to say grace before they ate, and her household was up for grabs. So
That must made her feel really bad.
I'm sure, yeah. Psychologically, right? But, by the same token, she encountered a lot of the same problems you see today, a lot of the same violence. She would get robbed or stuck up by black people in the city. But everybody recognizes anybody who lives with black people in the cities will tell you there is a generational difference that the older black people, in many cases, they couldn't even read. My grandma had a school. They taught cops how to shoot their guns. It was a security school. And so they would license security guards, cops, do firearms training. And they would train up black people that sometimes couldn't read. They were from the Jim Crow era from the South.
Right.
But she said they were very honest, very decent, very respectful, polite. So culture makes a huge difference. I don't think it's everything. It's certainly not nothing. And anyone that lived, anyone that had that experience living in a city with black people through the generations will tell you the exact same thing. There's certainly a generational component, but I don't think that explains all of it.
Yeah. Like all my aunts and uncles and my family, there wasn't a bunch of miscreants. Yeah. It was like polite. They always wore suits. Yeah, they always went to church on Sunday.
Right.
I remember growing up.
There's an image. That's what black people used to dress.
Yeah. I mean, that was the common thing to do.
Yeah.
And now, liberals get hold of black people and just turn into progressives, and now this is what you got.
Yeah, I got a question. Do you think if, just a hypothetical, what would solve a majority of America's problems? Say you as president.
Just set them up.
No, this is a setup job. I do not want to set you up. I feel guilty.
This dude is wearing a wire.
What do you think would solve a majority of America's problems? I think, personally, for your answer, I think we listen to women too much.
Oh, yeah.
I think a big problem America has right now is we have too many women in power, and look what happened when we got too many women in power. We got men in women's bathrooms and at sports. It's just women just think different. So different than a man.
That's a huge part of it. I mean, you can start with women. You can go to the media. You can go to immigration. I mean, the problem is we can all recognize the country's been getting worse.
Yeah.
A lot of things, there was seismic changes 100 years ago. Technology, suffrage, more people voting, more people participating, a lot of immigrants from non-white countries coming here. Things are getting worse, and we're just doing the same things. It's like, you don't think maybe we put a pause on some of the things that have changed that might have led to some of these things? But, I mean, the women's a huge part of it because, like you said, they think differently. They're way more empathetic, way more, and they're kind of just like suckers. Like
I
men.
like how you said that. That was perfect. Suckers.
Because they're not necessarily dumb, although many of them are, but, because some of them could be very smart, but they just don't have this quality that men have, where men will say, nah, that's bullshit. You're lying. Women don't have that. Women will listen to any story, any sob story, and go, filled with empathy and emotion.
Right.
And when you look at who they vote for, this is like a red pill for me. When I was in high school, they said, I said, if you look at the election results, presidential election results, you separate it out by men and women. If only men voted, every state goes red. If only women voted, every state goes blue.
Right.
All you need to know. That's all you need to know.
That's powerful.
And even today, the approval ratings with Trump, men overwhelmingly positive, women overwhelmingly negative. And we know Trump is right. We know the Democrats are wrong, and these are like not difficult issues. Should a country have a border? Can a country run an infinite deficit? Can we have entitlements? You're paying people not to work. Like, no, we can't do any of these things. But women, they think that we can. And that's a huge source of the issue, certainly. The diversity is a big part of it. The anti-racism, not for nothing, but those pictures you show, that was a time when the society was immensely racist. Seems like it was better for both sides, actually.
Right.
And that's not to say, important distinction, it's not to say we're in, because people like to say, make America great again. What, you mean slavery and lynching and, racial hatred? It's like, no. Obviously, I'm not a sick person. I'm not a cruel person. I don't want to see people get murdered for their race or their ethnicity. But what did change, now that people have to walk on eggshells, now that people are afraid to enforce the laws or tell the truth, now there's no rules. Now there's no accountability.
Right. Yeah.
You could say that maybe in the old days there was an excess of justice and it fell into cruelty. It fell into, brutality.
Yeah.
Now we have an excess of mercy. And you could see which one is worse.
Right.
Certainly the excess of mercy and forgiveness, you get a lawless society.
Right.
And I would rather be on the other end of a brutal cop than a brutal thug.
Yeah.
And it's sort of an interesting distinction, right?
Yeah.
Because you hear police brutality. Yeah, police can be brutal, certainly.
Right.
I wouldn't want to be on the other end of that either. But would you rather be on the other end of the law that's brutal or these young adolescent black men that are brutal, that will execute you for not even having to do with the theft. You know, I referenced a specific case. I said, who's executing people in Lincoln Park? There's a case where they mugged a guy in Lincoln Park, which is a nice white neighborhood, stole his iPhone, demanded the password, and then they shot the guy point blank execution style. Now, why do you kill this guy? You got his iPhone, you got the password, you got what you're looking for. Why then do you kill this guy? Shoot him in a defenseless person. That is far worse than any brutality from the police, you know, or from the state. Right. Yet no one wants to talk about that brutality. Yeah. So that's kind of how I see it.
I never understood liberals when it came to the death penalty. They don't, like, a person could do the most heinous crime imaginable, and they would give the person life. And then that person goes to prison and he ends up killing several other people.
Right.
It's like, why continue to protect his life when he took so many other people's lives? It should be eye for an eye. When it comes to our justice system, when it comes to murder, first degree, premeditated, you should be put to death.
Did you hear about this guy? He's in jail. I think it was in California. He killed like 4 people during a robbery in a jewelry store. So he got life.
This is a white dude, right?
It's a black guy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
You wish.
Right.
Wouldn't that be nice? No, I'm teasing.
Wow, a white criminal robbed a grocery store and killed 4 people? Really?
Right. And so it's a black guy, and his wife is giving him conjugal visits.
Oh, okay.
Why is he even allowed to do that? But he ends up killing his wife.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Why does he get sex visits?
Yeah.
And then she pisses him off and he kills her.
Yeah.
It's good, but your point about women, I think that's what's hurting our Supreme Court. Like Amy Coney Barrett, it's like she doesn't vote conservative. She's like progressive, just like the other women.
You asked a great question. Would you rather have an all-male conservative Supreme Court or all women conservative? And and men overwhelming, everybody overwhelmingly said, it should be all men.
Well, except for the women.
Yeah.
It was like 50-50.
Yeah.
But the dude's like, I'll take that. I'll take 12 Clarence Thomases before I take a freaking woman. You know?
Right.
It's just women.
They think so
That's why this whole transgender in bathrooms and sports, that's why it's went so far. It's not because of men. It's because women are allowing this.
Yep.
And if they can't protect themselves, why the hell should they be voting on elections?
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, that is the great lie of modern society, is that women are independent. By definition, they're not independent. You know, independent means you're free from dependency. Well, women are dependent on men for everything. Construction, police, government, military. A woman can't walk the streets at night independently because if any man, even a weak man, confronts her, she's toast. She's done.
Yeah.
Who does she call the protector? Another man.
Right.
If she's in a burning building, who's going to come and rescue her? A man.
Yeah.
You know, they're completely biologically dependent on us. So
have you noticed, like, when shit hits the fan, what do all women do? They start screaming.
Yeah, right.
It's like every time. I watched this one TikTok video. This little coyote came out, right? It was a coyote that came out of nowhere. Her little daughter was walking, and the coyote grabs and starts dragging her. She's like, she did like screaming, looking at the coyote drag her daughter. And I was like, do something, you stupid bitch. She just right there screaming, and her husband comes out, chases the coyote off.
Yeah, and grabs his daughter.
Yeah.
She could very easily did that.
They're like an alarm, you know? That's like to get a male to pay attention.
Like a siren.
Yeah, it's the world's first alarm system, you know? Because that's all they could do.
Wow, man, you call women suckers, and you call them alarm clock. I mean, women are just so different than men.
Well, we're the superior.
Biologically.
We're the superior gender,
Yeah.
and they're trying to make this claim that we're equals. We're not.
Yeah. You know, every time I look at a new movie, a new show, they got some strong woman beating the shit out of dudes. I'm like, that would never happen. You beat up those 3 guys.
Yeah.
It's not even believable anymore.
Yeah,
was
it's
watching
jumping the shark.
Yeah, I was watching a show. I can't remember this show's name.
One of these gay Jewish shows, probably.
Yeah, it's and the girl that's lesbian, she beat the hell out this big muscular guy. It's about
The Last of Us.
Yes.
Yeah.
You saw that.
That's made by a guy from Tel Aviv, Neil Druckmann. He's from Tel Aviv.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that explains a lot.
This white chick is kissing this totally hot, smoking little Mexican girl.
Yeah.
Oh, she's fucking right? And then she beats up some dude later. I'm like, man, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
It's not even real.
I just want to. Have you seen that movie, Minecraft?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you notice anything weird about that movie?
The black woman in it? Or
Well, that was weird, but not that. It's something else weird. What's that what's the handsome guy's name with
Jason Momoa?
Yeah, they had his fingernails painted, and he's acting real feminine. He's
Oh,
got
in
a
that movie?
pink jacket. He's got his hair done like he's back in the 80s. They got him playing like he's real feminine.
Feminine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that was just like an 80s, because you know what it is? The director is like a Gen Xer.
Oh, really?
That's like, dude, every Gen X movie, it's like a James Gunn thing. They just have this hard on for the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
It's like every
Yeah,
movie
'cause
is
he
just
had a-
like 80s nostalgia.
He had an 80s muscle car, and
Yeah.
he had the jacket with the, I forget, some kind of...
Yeah, the 80s were pretty gay. Man, that was like, remember Milli Vanilli? Oh, my,
You're
can
too
you pull
young
them
for
up? It's the couple black guys who were lip syncing and they got caught doing it. But they were like trans,
Huh.
but they wasn't trans.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
Man, you're young.
He's a baby. We just turned 50. We twice straight. Damn. These are two dudes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't they used to call you guys Milli Vanilli?
And they used to tease us and
Yeah,
call
the
us
black kids used to bully and said, me and Keith was Milli Vanilli.
like that one dude's got like green eyes or something. But so they would call us that. But that's like the
that's
80s
the
were
look.
so gay. I used to love listening to their music.
Yeah.
Do you have that? Can you put up that video where they're dancing on stage? They're dressed in white and they look like a couple faggots up there. Hey, Chief, what's wrong with you? You're gonna cut this shit out, right? They're like, it's when they caught them lip syncing, the record player scratched or something. They're dressed in white. Type in when Milli Vanilli got caught. It should come up.
Why the hell are we talking about Milli Vanilli?
No, he was talking about how the 80s, everything like in the 80s was pretty like feminine. I'm over it, fuck it.
We get it.
Well, yeah, all those video game movies, because I was thinking about this, Minecraft, Ready Player One, Tron, these are all like video game adaptations, and they all have like a subplot, which is just like 80s nostalgia. It's these like
Yeah,
Gen
that is
X
true.
nerds that have a hard-on for like 80s video games, 80s music, and I agree, it is super gay.
Hey, looking back on that movie, yeah, she was the only black person.
Yeah. Well, and there's like this clip in the trailer where she's like, what the hell? You know, it's like, bruh.
She's the token black
Yeah.
person in the movie.
Minecraft. You know, like, come on.
I didn't see the movie, but you're making me want to see it now. My wife took me. We went over the weekend, and I don't like Jack Black, and that dude is very little. I was like, oh my God, these two dudes in it, and I'm supporting this. But it was actually a very good movie.
Yeah.
It was very good, and I think it's over 500 million.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Well, it's Minecraft. You can't mess that up.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I guess
it's-
you can if you mess
But
up
it's
Snow
actually the movie's very funny. Really, that dude Jason Momoa, he had some jokes in there. He would say something in Spanish, but it totally meant something else. It was real funny.
Oh,
it was
okay.
really good. Actually, I was like, yeah, they still suck politically, but that was a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah. So you checked it out?
Oh, yeah. I saw it twice.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I loved it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
you know.
gonna watch it now.
You got well, I don't know if you get it, though. I mean, you guys play Minecraft? You gamers?
No, my kids are into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I watch my kids play, so I get it.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Zoomers have a deep appreciation for it because, I mean, we grew up with that game. The game's 15 years old. So,
It's like you're Miss Pac-Man, huh?
yeah.
Because Miss Pac-Man was huge for us. I still love it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So you're 25 now.
Damn, you young dude. I'm telling you, once
Thanks.
you hit 20, like 36. No, 36 is like the perfect age.
Yeah,
when
but once you hit 36, after that, everything's like downhill. Just everything.
you- not really. Well, kind of.
Well, 40.
Yeah.
You're 50, you guys are?
Yeah, we turned 50.
Wow, you don't look 50.
We're going to
Yeah.
be 51 this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what RFK Jr. told me?
What?
He said, he told me, he said, wow, you're 50? He said, the next 25 years, if you live that long, it's going to be the worst years of your life.
Nice.
So he told me, you better get your ass in the gym every day. Every day, yeah.
And watch what you eat.
Yeah, I believe that.
I was like, gee, thanks.
Yeah, people are calling me Unc, so that's good to hear.
Oh, yeah?
They look young, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a black vernacular, I think. What's up, Unc?
Yeah, I'm an old head now. I'm an old head, Unc.
Yeah, but I'm starting to notice a lot of your videos now, like on Instagram,
Yeah.
YouTube.
They're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So has a ban been lifted on having your content or talking about your content?
Yeah, it changed. It noticeably, it was like overnight. It changed.
Well, when Trump got elected?
Yeah, literally.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what exactly took place, but for years, anyone would post my show, they'd immediately get banned. Not only would the content get taken down, their account would get terminated. And then we started to notice this around December of 2024, January of this year. People were posting them and they were staying up and getting really good viewership, getting really good views. And we said something changed. We said, let's just try it. So, our team made some accounts and we noticed other people were posting the clips and they're just doing crazy views. They're just blowing up. And I think what happened is that, when you look at the censorship regime, it's sort of crescendoed. It hit its peak in like 2021, 22. Because in 2015, no one was banned. Back in 2015, it was like unheard of. The first few people like Andrew Anglin, Chuck Johnson got banned on Twitter. It was unheard of, though, that people are getting censored in the old days. Then after Trump got elected the first time, it just went into overdrive. Ban waves, the rules were changing every week, getting more broad. Then it got to the point where they said, if you disagree about Ukraine, BLM, the election, the vaccine, you're gone. It was just out of control. Trump himself got banned. And then there were like two big developments. Trump getting banned catalyzed both of them. You had Elon acquire Twitter and made it free speech. And then TikTok blew up. TikTok was the fastest growing platform. It was the fastest platform to get 1 billion active users. Totally surpassed Instagram, Facebook, not Facebook, but Instagram. And TikTok was owned by ByteDance, which is in China, so they didn't have the same restrictions. TikTok blows up in 21, 22. That allows the rise of Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate's the most famous guy in the world in 22, thanks basically to TikTok. And so between TikTok blowing up, Elon's acquisition of X, you basically have the two most competitive, fastest growing platforms are a free speech haven. And I think then Trump's election the second time, between that development and the election, it forced these other companies to kind of get in line. They said, if we want to compete, Zuckerberg said, we have to relax the policies. Same thing with YouTube. Same thing with Twitch. Twitch let Aiden Ross back on. They're starting to relax their policies. And I think that's partially out of competitiveness with the other platforms, but also I think they're afraid of, they know that when Trump gets in, there's a chance he might bring down regulatory pressure on them because they censor conservatives. That was a relationship in the first term. People don't know this, but Zuckerberg was tight with Trump in the first Trump administration. That's why Facebook never got regulated, because Zuckerberg would call up the White House and say, oh, we're going to work with you on censorship. We're going to work with you on this. And that gave them some lenience with the FTC, with the what do you call it? The regulation of the, I forget the other, the FCC and one, FTC and FCC. Both of them gave them some leniency because of that. So I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see if it sticks.
So you think Zuckerberg, he's just playing politics, whoever's in office?
100%. 100%. But at least that's partially. I think part of it's competitive and the other part is they're playing politics. They don't want to get the ban hammer from the government.
Right. Have you been able to monetize yourself
No.
easier?
No.
You think they ever lift that ban that they have on you currently?
No, I'm banned on PayPal, Stripe, banned from every payment processor, every bank. I sell these hats. I have these America First hats. Are like Trump's hats. And we were working with like a free speech payment processor. They're like made for canceled people like me. They were working with a free speech bank that was made for people like me. And we said, we're going to sell hats. This is who we are. This is, and they knew who I was. They knew what we're going to do. They said, yeah, no problem. You should be good to go. We put the hats for sale. We make like $50,000 in the first night. They hit us up the next day. They say, we're freezing all the payments. We have to review it. Week later, they come back and say, we can't do business with you. We're refunding every single transaction.
That is nuts.
Free speech bank, free speech processor. No luck. This is what happens. And this was recently. This was like in October.
Yeah.
So yeah, no leniency with the banks. I don't know what's going on with that.
What legal recourse do you have?
None, because it's private. It's private sector. So everybody, that was my first thought: is how could this be legal? How is that even constitutional? That you could be deprived of such an essential service like that. But what they do is basically Visa and MasterCard operate like a cartel. They control all the credit card processing, and for that reason, they influence the banks. So when you process a credit card, you're dealing with Visa and MasterCard, the bank, and the processor. And those are 3 layers where they can mess with you. So in many cases, it's the processor, like a PayPal, a Stripe. The processor says you're too conservative, you're banned. Sometimes it's the bank that underwrites the processor, and they say you're too conservative, or it's reputational risk, you're banned. Even if you find the right processor and the right bank, Visa and MasterCard, because they're a cartel, they still have final veto power. And because they control all the processing, they get to tell the banks, we don't like this guy. So even if you have a good bank and a good processor, ultimately they have the final say. So I'm forced to deal with either e-check, in some cases ACH, or cryptocurrency. That's it. That's all I could do.
Wow, that is nuts, dude.
People can't believe it when I tell them that, because it's so... you think it's basic.
When you find out that when this happened to you, what reason did they give you?
They don't give you a reason.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's the worst part. Because it'd be one thing if they sent you a letter and they said, you said this, you did that. Here's our terms of service that you violated, because then you could contest it.
Right.
But they don't have to give you a reason. So I was on the no-fly list. Same deal. They don't even tell you you're on that. It's confidential law enforcement information. So the only way you find out is they just deny you boarding. And same thing with the banks. They just send you a letter. We're done doing business with you. That it's the opaqueness, which is the worst part.
Andrew Tate was on our show. He said, in Romania, you know exactly what the laws are. He said, but when you come to America, you don't know what the laws are.
Right.
That's scary.
Yeah, that's how they get you. It's become so politicized. They will look at you, and because the federal law is so complex and vast and convoluted, if they want you, they can get you on something, whether it's taxes, whether it's, for some people, a sex thing, like with Andrew Tate. It's like, well, you transported a woman from one country to another, that's sex trafficking. Or it's a weapons thing sometimes. I got a buddy, he knew a girl who got assaulted by a guy. This was in Europe. He gave her pepper spray, said, hey, here, protect yourself. He got arrested for light arms trafficking, trafficked a light weapon.
That's in the UK?
It was in, I don't want to dox him, but continental Europe. Yeah. So that's how they get you. Another guy.
A guy just happened. It's all over the place. This guy told a guy to speak English in the United Kingdom. And the cop told him and said, hey, that's hate speech. White people are destroying themselves. Now you see why we formed this country. That's why they left Europe. It's like, these people are psychos. They're a bunch of progressives. And they started. Now it's metastasized. It came back over here, and that's in our government, in our country. Yeah, like when I mention and the carrier is women. That's the carrier, right? When I mention the ideology progressivism, what's the first thing that pops in your head?
Oh, AOC, progressive left.
Yeah. Like
she's doing a great job in destroying her party. I think she's going to run. I think so.
Yeah, I think people are talking about her getting like a leadership position in Congress. I think she's too radical, though. I don't think so.
Party now. Though.
I don't think the Democrats.
I don't think a liberal could win a nomination for presidency to run it against Republicans. I don't think a liberal would pass it. I think they're progressive as hell now.
Yeah.
Like if a guy like Gavin Newsom, I think he's a testament to that. He's out here saying men don't belong in women's sports, and the left is just annihilated him, and now he's dead to them.
Yeah, look what they did to Ben Shapiro. What's his name? The guy up in Pennsylvania. They burned his house.
The governor.
Yeah, Governor Shapiro. Yes. Yeah, they burned his house down.
Well, yeah. Well, I think it was like a Jewish thing. It was on Passover.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But probably it was
definitely
like
a Jew thing.
Yeah. Well, they don't like him because he's, he's a Jewish Zionist. And you're right. They have these like radical left-wing guys that are super pro-Palestine. That's one of the good things about the other side.
You know what? I want to ask you about this. What's that guy? They said he could be deported. I can't even pronounce his name. I don't remember.
From Colombia?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think is he Muslim?
Mahmoud Halil, yeah.
Yeah, they said they can judge this rule that they can deport him. But all he did was really protest for Palestinians, right? Did he do anything like?
No crime. Yeah, so the State Department has deported or given a notice to 300 students that are here legally. They're not illegal immigrants. They have a visa. In some cases, they're like this guy, Halil, he was married to a U.S. citizen.
Wow.
So he's a legal resident of the United States, and they deported him because he had the wrong opinion. And the judge upheld that, so they imprisoned him in Louisiana, and then they're deporting him to the Middle East. And
he criticized Israel. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's your First Amendment.
Yeah, our Secretary of State and our President, they're all for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm just. Yeah, that's most offended by. I mean, 99. The other things Trump doing, I think, is great, but I was like, man, I think he's simping for the Jews on this.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
on many things.
yeah. That's crazy, man. That's scary. When you hear legally, you're married to a United States citizen. You say one thing about Israel, and they will revoke your right to be here.
This is the United States of Israel. A lot of people don't realize that. They have so much influence over our government.
We're having a free speech absolutism, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we're supposed to be the party of free speech. They're like, yeah, get them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not understand why Republicans and conservatives do that.
Fox News.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have boomers that watch us, and they're big. I mean, I'm against Zionist, right? That's who I'm against. I'm not against Jews. I'm against Zionism, right? But when you look at these boomers, they really support Israel, and they always say they're our biggest ally, you know. And it's like, and they get that because I've never heard Fox News say one bad or criticize Israel at all. Whenever they talk about Palestine and Palestinians, it's
And
always
Muslims.
terrorist.
Yeah.
They're all terrorists. And I'm noticing a lot of conservatives here lately going in on Muslims. And I know they're getting paid.
Yep.
They got to be getting paid.
Yeah.
And then I see conservatives meeting up with Netanyahu. And then I see all these new posts about Muslims. I'm like, the way Muslims can fix this is just change the name. Just act like a Jew.
Yeah.
You'll never know.
No joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, me neither. Well, and here's the thing about Muslims, you know, their beliefs are actually closer to Christians than Jews are.
They're very conservative.
They love Jesus. Jews don't love Jesus.
Yeah.
Jews put him up there on the cross to begin with. They got no love for him. And, you know,
It's almost like we've been brainwashed by Fox News and Israel.
It's pretty much Fox News.
yeah. Well, because they control your information diet. If you're a conservative, you're watching Fox News, Prager, Daily Wire, Blaze. Those are all controlled by Zionists. You know, Rupert Murdoch is a close personal friend of Netanyahu. Donated in Netanyahu's campaign for prime minister. Netanyahu when he visits the United Kingdom, he uses Rupert Murdoch's apartment. He stays there. Like, that's who runs Fox. And then, so you wonder, you know, why don't they say anything negative? Well, that's who runs it. And, you know, a lot of them are being paid, but it's also this like invisible hand of censorship, which is when I got started in the conservative space, when I was 18 years old, when I was in college, they put me on the pipeline to become an influencer, personality, whatever. And so they have all these campus organizations, Turning Point, Young Americans for Liberty, Young Americans for Freedom. That is how they groom young conservatives to be talking heads, personalities, activists. It starts very young. And so when I met a representative from one of those groups, I said, "Oh, you're a good talker. You're a great talent. We want to work with you. We want you to write for us." The first thing they asked me, "Do you want to take a trip to Israel?"
Yeah.
No joke.
Yeah.
And they sponsor them. These are paid, sponsored trips. They call it Birthright, or They go by different names, but they sponsor these trips, and every influencer goes to Israel. They get the propaganda tour. They kiss the wall. They tell them, oh, the Palestinians are evil. They've been trying to kill us for 1,000 years, blah, blah, blah. And then you come back, and they groom you for many. Oh, go to this Passover dinner. Go to this this Shabbat dinner at CPAC. They acclimate you to this very, very pro-Israel culture in the right. And if you ever ask a question about Israel, go against Israel, you're out. You're done. Right. You're out of Turning Point. You're out of Young. At Turning Point, I'll give you this is a little insider baseball. Turning Point USA, they have a list of guest speakers or like approved speakers that, no joke, like literally approved. If you have a chapter, this is who can speak.
Seal of Israel.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 speakers on that list of speakers that currently are suspended. So they're on the Turning Point website. They're considered Turning Point speakers, but all the chapters are told you cannot invite those people to speak. Candace Owens, Elijah Schaefer. What do those have in common?
Right. They
criticize Israel.
Yeah.
So it's like, as a consequence, you get a conservative movement where no one has ever criticized Israel, because if they did, they were toast. A long time ago, they got trashed. So that is how they basically refine the conservative movement to have one position on this, and that's all. If you're just some normie, you're just some boomer or whatever watching TV, you got your kid puts you onto the iPad, you're watching the Blaze, that's all you're ever going to hear. Because if you want to find me, I was banned for 4 years. I just got back on Rumble, and they don't let me on the front page. That's how it goes.
Right. Yeah, we got invited to go to Israel. I said, hell no. You sound like a black woman. Hell no. I was like, I'm not going there. Yeah, we got invited. I said, nah, no thanks. I'm going to work. Yeah, why would I go there? I would feel so guilty if I went there. I think they make you put on the hat too, huh?
Yeah.
Is it true you can't wear a cross?
That is true.
Wow.
Yeah,
so if I went out there and did this, the hell going on? You ain't wearing it. If I do that, will I get beaten up?
Yeah, they will spit on you.
Yeah.
They will confront you.
No, you're kidding.
You can look up, there's videos of this.
Yeah, I've seen it too. Yeah.
Christians walk down the street, a lot of missionaries, they get spit on, they get attacked. Like mobs will form up around them and say, you're a piece of shit. You're a Christian. We're better than you.
That's because they hate Jesus. Right?
They hate Jesus. Yeah. In Israel, when they teach math in school, they don't use a plus sign.
They're the most unmasculine looking fucking boys I ever seen in my life.
What's up with them hats?
Like they was prevented from hitting puberty or something. That is crazy.
You said in math they don't use that plus symbol?
Yeah, so in math they won't use the plus symbol.
It looks like a cross.
Because it looks too much like a cross.
No, come on.
100%, yeah. That's why they call them, the racial slur for Jews. Is I don't know if you want to say it because it's a show, but that comes from the Hebrew word for circle. Because when the Jews came in on Ellis Island, they put a check or a cross next to your name, an X, and the Jews said, "No, don't put that on there. Put a circle instead," because they don't want the cross next to their name. They don't want anything resembling a cross next to their name. That's how deep the hatred goes.
Wow. Okay. In Israeli schools, an alternative plus sign. Wow. I did not know that it's an inverted T.
Looks like a cock and balls.
So, that is so weird.
Isn't that crazy as hell?
This is the first time I've ever heard of this. And you would think evangelical Christian conservative voters, I didn't know this, and a lot of them don't know this, and all that stuff you just said. And but they're our biggest ally.
Yeah.
It's like a con.
It's like a big joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, they suppress the information. And the funny thing is, they all know it. Ben Shapiro knows this stuff.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He won't tell his audience because, if he tells his audience, who do you think watches his show? It's all these Christian Americans that are America first, love Jesus. He's Israel first, hates Jesus.
Right.
But Israel needs our country. They need our military. They need our money. And in order to secure that, they need all the Americans to think they're our closest ally. You know, we have to protect them, religious reasons, strategic reasons. But yeah, it's an unbelievable scandal. And I found this out, and that's what got me canceled.
You know what's crazy? We started reading the Bible. First, I was going to read it from front to end. And Israel is a family. Right? And the descendants of that family, it's not like a country. It's just wherever that family lived. And they were Jewish. So Jewish people, that's like a race, right? Not a religion.
Yes. Well, it's both.
It's both.
It's an ethnic religion. And, you know, what a lot of Christians, it is
So I can't be Jewish.
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, there are different schools of thought. Some Jews accept converts, but the most hardcore Jewish law says it's matrilineal, meaning it's passed down by the mother. Your mom has to be Jewish. If your mom's not Jewish, they don't recognize you as Jewish.
Wow.
And the so-called converts, I got a friend who's Jewish, and his father married a non-Jew, a Gentile, and the Jewish family excommunicated him. They don't talk to him anymore
Because all his kids are not Jewish. He has to marry a
they don't
Jewish
see him.
woman.
They see him as like a race traitor, basically. So, but the difference is, you know, Christians. A lot of Christians have this idea that, you know, we all read the Bible. You know, the Jews are the Old Testament, we're the New Testament. But the New Testament, the relationship between the New Testament and the Old Testament, it's not a sequel. The New Testament and the theology in it replaces the theology of the Old Testament. So in the Old Testament, you have a religion that's based on the people of Israel. They make sacrifices at the temple. They have rabbis. They have the law. But when Jesus arrives, he changes everything because he becomes the law. We say that he is the law. The law is embodied in him.
Right.
So the Jews are saying, well, the law of Moses says you have to stone this woman. And he says, well, I'm the law. He says, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. He completes and fulfills and perfects the law. He personifies the law. So in the same way that God gave Moses the 10 Commandments in the Ark of the Covenant, God gave us the law through Mary. We see Mary as the new Ark of the Covenant. We see Jesus as the new 10 Commandments. She carried him in her womb, just like the Ark carried the Old Testament. He is the law. He fulfills the law, just like the Old Testament was the law. And then when Jesus dies on the cross, the veil is torn inside the temple. And within a generation, the temple itself is destroyed. You know, there's always talk about the temple. The temple itself is destroyed because Jesus becomes the new temple. There's no need for a temple. There's no need for animal sacrifices. He becomes the sacrifice. So in the Old Testament, they're sacrificing animals. They talk about the red heifer. They're trying to do that. God gives us a more perfect sacrifice. He offers up himself. And so this is where a lot of the Protestants say, well, you know, we need to support Israel because the Bible says those who bless Israel will be blessed. But Israel,
they're talking about the family.
They're talking about, that's in the book of Genesis. And the book of Genesis is talking about what is Israel in the Old Testament and the first covenant that God makes with the Jewish people. When Jesus comes, just like everything else, Israel's transformed. The laws changed, the priesthood has changed, the temple has changed, and Israel changes. What was the family and the race becomes the body of Christ. He says there is neither Jew nor Gentile. The new Israel is the Christians. We're the new Israel. If you believe in Christ, you're now the chosen people. You enter into the covenant with God. You're grafted onto that tree. And so that's a theological difference that you call supersessionist has with these dispensationalist Christians.
Yeah, because I always hear Republicans saying they're God-chosen people.
Right.
That's not necessarily true.
Not anymore, no.
Yeah. That's why they hate him so much.
Right.
Yeah. I just started reading the Bible, actually just reading it. Yeah, so it's like a damn riddle. I can't understand. Yeah, but I'm getting it. But I'm like, yeah, Israel's a damn family. I'm taking the Lord's name in vain. I haven't read all the way through. You're much more advanced than I am, so
yeah,
I can see the understanding behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a completely different religion, you know. They think that Judaism and the Old Testament are like part one, and we're like part two. It's like, no, what Jesus did completely changed everything. And why they hate him so much is because they're filled with racial pride. Because they're still expecting their Messiah. They wanted a Messiah because they were living under occupation by the Romans. They wanted a Messiah who would come and destroy the Romans. They wanted a Messiah who would come and make Israel a great country, empower their people, give them a kingdom. They wanted a king like David or like Solomon who would kill all their enemies, make them the most powerful country on earth. And what they got was Jesus, who said, I came for everybody. I came to die. I came to serve. I came to be a humble servant. They didn't like that. They said, we don't like this Jesus. We want a Jesus that's going to make us the emperor of the world and kill all our enemies. That is what offended them so much. And
that's what got him crucified.
That's what got him crucified.
I'm like maybe first 10% of the Bible. What version are we reading? The old
Genesis. We just started.
I mean, it's the Old Testament.
No, it's not Genesis.
The King James.
Yeah. No, we in Leviticus. How you say it?
Well,
Leviticus.
that's a section. You stupid.
Well, I just got to Leviticus.
Yeah, but this is the King James version, right?
Yeah.
Well, shut the fuck up. Right, and I came across, it says Palestinia. Is that does that mean anything to you? What does that mean?
That was the Roman name that was given to that area.
That's crazy. Palestinia. Yeah,
that's a Roman name for that province.
Israel is was the family of Jacob.
Yes.
And his descendants. It wasn't necessarily a country. It's just wherever they lived, right?
Yes.
So, but Palestine was an actual place. A lot of Republicans said it never existed.
Yeah.
Palestine never existed, and it did.
Yeah. That's something that Jewish people say.
Yeah.
That's just like loaded up.
That's something only a Jewish man would say. A Jewish person would say, yeah.
Well, it's sort of like how, somebody here, or let's say somebody in Texas would say, like, this is America. It's like it's a deep contention about the identity of the place.
Right.
So the Jew, like, they'll even say, for example, the disputed territory in Israel's Gaza and the West Bank. And the Jews say, no, you can't call it the West Bank. It's Judea and Samaria. Because they believe that if you say West Bank, it almost like denies the Jewish claim to that territory. They want to call it the biblical Jewish name for that territory because that reflects their claim over the land. They're like, no, West Bank, this is new. Thousands of years ago, we called it Judea and Samaria. That's what it was then. That's what it always is. It was ours then. It will always be ours. So it's bound up with their contention over their right to the land. And that's why there's no such thing as a Palestine. And what they mean by that is there is some truth to the fact that there has never been a nation state called Palestine. 100 years ago, what is Palestine was controlled by the Ottoman Empire.
It's called UK Palestine or something like that?
Yeah, it was the Mandate of Palestine, and the United Kingdom. But the United Kingdom took it from the Ottomans after World War I. It was controlled by Turkey. Turkey lost the war, and then Britain and France split up their territories. The UK got Palestine. But the point is, for thousands of years, since I think the Umayyad or Abbasid Caliphate, it was just under control by a Muslim empire, by an Arab or Turkic Muslim empire. And so they say there was never a country called Palestine. Palestine was a province of the Roman Empire. Palestine was a province of the Abbasid Caliphate or the Ottoman Empire, and then the British Empire. But no one ever said, I'm in the same way that you would say I'm German. Like Germany's a country. France is a country.
It's more like a state.
Right, yeah. Like no one would say I'm an Illinoisan. Like what is that really?
Right.
Is that just really identity
Sounds
in that?
gay too.
Yeah. I'm a Chicagoan.
Yeah.
But so they say that to basically undermine the Palestinians' claim to the land. They say, oh, there's no such thing as a Palestine. We're the only real country that's ever existed here. That's why they say it.
I don't know why people don't realize bombing your own citizens and murdering children and kids, that's like a bad thing. It's like a war crime.
Yeah.
I still to this day, I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm surprised Republicans don't get it.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, we're supposed to be the smartest group of people in the country. I mean, which we are, but Why they don't see this, I don't understand.
As Trump endorsed a very clearly morally contemptible man for Congress simply because AIPAC wants him into office, okay? That man's name is Randy Fine. He's truly just, on its face, he's a disgusting person. Just disgusting. Look at him.
Can you hear this?
Yeah.
And he's so disgusting that he doesn't even try to hide it. He openly mocks photos of dead Muslim babies on Twitter. These are real X tweets from him. I'm just going to show you a few of them, just so you understand, like, this is who Trump got behind. Gaza must be destroyed,
crazy.
period. As if no humans live there. Palestinian is a code word for Hamas. Bombs away. He doesn't care. Kill every last Palestinian. It's great. Here's another one from him. Palestinian is just another word for demon. He's writing this. I just want you guys to try to flip that. I'll go back to that one. Try to flip that. Imagine if I was running for office and I wrote Jewish is just another word for demon. Jew is just another word for demon. Israeli, rather, be more precise, Israeli is just another word for demon. You would go nowhere in politics. But for him, Trump's like, elect this guy. AIPAC wants him, okay? And so he did that. Let's go on to another one of his tweets. So, blow up the schools. No mercy. He's just talking about blowing up schools, you know, where tons of kids have died. Tens of thousands of children have been murdered there, and he's at least honest about the fact that he doesn't care. And lastly, here's him responding when someone showed him a picture of a dead baby. And they asked him, how do you sleep, right? He said, they asked him, supporting the killing of innocent people and babies and smearing voices that fight against genocide for some AIPAC money says a lot about your character. You should be ashamed of yourself, Randy. How do you sleep at night? He responds and says, quite well, actually. Thanks for the pic.
That's crazy.
Trump literally tweeted last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, vote for this guy. AIPAC endorsed. Now, was Trump?
That's why you don't vote, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's why you didn't vote for him.
You see that AI video Trump came out about Gaza?
No.
He even threw a couple trainings in there. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. This is his. I don't know if he's trolling, but I think he's serious. This is his vision for Gaza.
Yeah.
Which I looked at the photos of that place. That's probably
The best
the
real
nicest
estate
real estate in the world.
No.
Donald is coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here.
There's the
Trump
transgender.
Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza, #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza, #1.
And this is the same time he said he was going to take all of the Palestinians and give them their own land and all this. I was like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and it's a glib video. They're trying to make it funny. They're trying to make it into a meme. And I'm not a bleeding heart liberal by any stretch, but the people in Gaza are literally being starved to death.
Right.
You know, it's
because all
too-
the aid we give to Israel
It goes to
straight
them.
to them. None of it goes to the
And
Palestinians.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the
Well, they
Palestin-
intercept it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They intercept all of it. They say, oh, well, anything that's dual use, Israel will confiscate. So, for example, if a truckload of humanitarian aid has a pair of scissors in it, Israel says, well, scissors could be a weapon. We're blocking the whole truck. Now, that's the pretext with how they do it. But, yeah, they have blockaded the entire thing. All the checkpoints are closed. There's no electricity. They shut down the electricity, no water, no food's getting in, no medicine. They bomb the hospitals, the schools, farmland, residential areas. I mean, so these people, all 2.1 million are just being systematically killed. Like, by definition, that's what's happening. And I don't know how any Christian can support that.
Right.
You know, you could say America has strategic objectives. We don't want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. That's legitimate. We don't want China to invade Taiwan. Okay, that's legitimate. We're going to murder 2 million people.
Right.
And it's happening only because of the United States. People say, well, we shouldn't send them aid. It's deeper than that. This could not happen without us. Like, it's the aid. We would veto any Security Council resolution against it. We come in. If any other country tried to intervene to stop this, we come in to scare them off. it is only happening because of us, and we're going to pay the price. Our reputation suffering. The Muslim world's going to hate us for generations. Probably there's going to be a terrorist attack inspired by this. So the blood's on our hands, and Christians support it. I don't know how you could do that.
Yeah.
Judeo-Christian values, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Judeo-Christian. Hey y'all, if y'all out here feeling sluggish, got them joint pains, got them backaches, or your skin looking all ashy, man, you need some help. Yeah, we just dropped a brand new product on our site to get you making your body great again. Yeah, some damn good sea moss capsules. Yeah, this stuff is packed with all kinds of organic ingredients like sea moss, burdock root, and bladderwrack. What the hell is bladderwrack? It's good for you, man. Our sea moss has all kinds of essential nutrients in it, like iodine, omega-3s, fiber, and antioxidants. If it was African sea moss, I wouldn't trust it. But it's Irish sea moss, so you know it comes from the good old white people. Go to officialhodgeswitch.com and get you some damn good sea moss. Yeah. I wasn't going to really talk about the Jews, but I just couldn't help myself. You know, me and Keith won an award. What was it, Joe? It was Anti-Semites for the week? Yeah, it's like...
Of the week. How many anti-Semites you got a year?
And I'm not even anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
I just criticize.
Yeah. It's the same
That's
tactic.
anti-Semitic, Keith.
Yeah.
You can't criticize.
Yeah, same thing happened in Canada. She can call out the black community, but as soon as she said something about some Jews,
Yeah.
she was axed.
Yep.
Speaking of Candace, here's Ben Shapiro.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Shapiro. You've consistently promoted the idea that America was built on Judeo.
Have you seen this?
However, as a devout Christian, I have difficulty accepting the term, given Judaism's rejection of Jesus. Christians believe Jesus Christ is God. In contrast, the Talmud, a central Jewish holy book, teaches that Jesus is burning in hellfire and excrement. And while the New Testament tells us to love our enemies and pray for those who persecute us, Sovereign 15 of the Talmud states that even the best of the Gentiles should be killed. Given these irreconcilable differences, why do you insist on using this oxymoronic term?
Okay, so first of all, that's a really bad read of the Talmud. Second of all, the notion that you can cite any text in support of the idea that Judaism broad writ is somehow disdainful or hateful of Christians or of people who are not Jewish is in fact a tremendous misread of Judaism over the centuries and particularly today. I can cite sections in the New Testament that I find personally problematic. I can certainly cite segments in the Quran that I find personally problematic. The truth is I could probably find places in the Old Testament that I find personally problematic. That does not speak to what Judaism is and its historic impact on the world. Judaism is the foundation of Christianity. Jesus himself acknowledged this. The New Testament acknowledges this. The notion that Judaism and Christianity are somehow completely delinked and teach two completely separate lessons ignores the fact that the Old Testament is part and parcel of the New Testament. Sure, Christians and Jews think different things. Of course. Otherwise, I'd be a Christian or you'd be a Jew. If we thought completely the same thing, then presumably we would have the exact same religion. But the notion that Judaism and Christianity are completely delinked is wrong. As far as miscitations from the Talmud, or even citations of texts that are written in the year 500 CE at a time when Jews were being persecuted by Christians in the Roman Empire, that seems to me a real stretch to get to the idea that Jews today are overall hateful of Christians. I'm not sure that there's anybody in America, personally speaking, who has pushed more people back to church than me. I really don't know that there is anybody who's done that. I tell Christians literally all the time to go to church. I tell Christians all the time to re-engage with their faith. I think it is deeply, deeply important that they do. I don't try to convert people to Judaism because that's actually forbidden in Jewish law. I'm not supposed to convert people to Judaism. So I know there's a group of people who spend all day online cherry-picking bad lines from the Talmud, a text that they have no familiarity with, and then trying to spin that into a giant myth about how Jews are seeking the extermination of Christians or some other bizarre conspiracy theory. Yeah. It's a lie, it's stupid, and the Judeo-Christian values of the nation are quite real because, once again, Judaism and Christianity have an awful lot in common.
Yeah. Let me say this. He says, I don't push people to Judaism. Like you can't. I can't be a Jew.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So why would he say that?
And why is people spitting at people, Christians, wearing a cross? And why did you ban the cross out of your mathematics?
Yeah, there's a reason why you don't push people to Judaism, because we can't be Jews.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, and a lot of people, a lot of his followers are ignorant to that.
Well, they think that his religion, like every other one, is universal. And like if you're a Muslim, you believe anyone can be a Muslim. All you have to do is say, God is the only God, Muhammad is his prophet. If you say that, you're a Muslim. Christians believe if you get baptized, you believe, depending on the sect, anyone could be a Christian. But Jews believe that like they are human beings and everyone else is an animal. They think
Gentiles,
that,
right?
Right.
Yeah.
They think that they have souls and we don't.
Right.
Like they have one set of laws and we have another. And everyone, it's just like a baseline assumption. Universalism, I would even say liberalism is like a universal religion in the sense that they believe in equality and everyone can vote and everybody can access reason, everybody can learn science or get educated. But Judaism is exclusionary. It says this one race is the chosen people, one race has a law, one race has a soul. And he just lies. I mean, in the Talmud it says, and there's a book about it, Jesus in the Talmud by Peter Schaefer, it is indisputable. He says those are misquotes or it's a false citation.
Yeah.
It is.
A while ago. It was from all this.
Yeah, right. It's 2,000 years ago. It's very clearly about Jesus. It says that his mother's a whore. He's burning in hell. They say he's a sorcerer. And, and he also says, well, Christianity comes from Judaism. Judaism breaks off from Christianity at the time of Christ and becomes something different. That's what they don't talk about. There's a whole mystical branch of Judaism. That's where the word Kabbalah comes from. You would say Kabbalah. Kabbalah comes from Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, which became popular. That's the basis of Freemasonry. That's the basis of Illuminism. It's all based in Jewish mystic books, which came after the New Testament, after Christ, after the New Testament, Old Testament. They come from the Zohar, comes from the Middle Ages. And that's where they base all this stuff out of. So
This term that was in the Old Testament, it said synagogue of Satan. Who do you think they was referring to?
It's pretty obvious, I think. It's not very subtle.
Well, synagogue, you know what a synagogue is, right? It's a Jewish church. Right.
It's a little on the nose.
Yeah, I've been there asking stupid questions. Yeah. What do they call a Muslim church? I forget.
Mosque.
A mosque. It didn't call it a mosque of Satan. It didn't say church of Satan. Right. It said synagogue of Satan. Yeah. That's wild. That's in the Bible.
Jesus said that too.
Jesus said that. And he was a Jew.
Yeah. You know, my older brother, he said this word anti-Semitic. My brother told me, he's like 10, 11 years older than us. He says, how can I be anti-Semitic? My Lord and Savior was a Jew. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. It's almost like that term is made up just for Israel so that you can't criticize them.
It was.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of it.
Because you forget Palestinians, they're Semitic.
Right.
Muslims, Arab.
All Arabs are Semitic.
They're Semitic, but they own the right to, I guess they like the best, it's like it doesn't make any sense how they
they're
use that term.
Gentiles. They're the cream of the crop. So it works. Starting to think Trump's a Jew. Ashkenazi Jew.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
White Jews.
get that, man.
Yeah,
And I understand why you didn't vote, because we're doing a lot of evil things across the world in the name of our biggest ally, Israel.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to backfire because Trump ran the first time on America First, which is we're going to get out of the Middle East. And it's very obvious that after October 7th, they supported Trump because they knew he would support them in the Middle East. And that's why I said I'm out. He's going to.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Because after October 7th, they said, even a lot of the liberal Jews said, we got to support Republicans because Biden was trying to stop Israel from doing what they're doing in Gaza. He wasn't successful, but they knew a Republican Congress, a Republican president. Trump already gave him $12 billion. He's been in office 3 months, gave him $12 billion. They're going to sign another memorandum of understanding that'll give them 4 and 8 every year for 25 years. Previous one was 10 years. This one's going to be 25 years. They're going to give him more money every year. So they knew that electing him, he's going to be the more pro-Israel of the two. That's why they put him in. So I said, I'm just not going to vote for that. These are two bad options. And it's going to backfire on America First.
Yeah. Yeah, when I see, every time I try to say his name, Kanye pops in my mind with that damn net. I see him Netanyahu sits in his chair and he tucks him in.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell was that?
I've never seen Trump tuck somebody in a chair.
A male.
He did it a few times. He did it with Modi, with the Indian president.
Oh, did he?
I'll be objective with that. He did it. I see it.
He did it with Modi, the Indian president? Okay, now I don't feel so bad.
Well, it caught my eye when he did it with Netanyahu.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's just gross when he does it with Yahoo.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully, I don't know how this ends, but man.
What do you think how is this all going to end? The Middle East?
Israel's going to nuke everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not far off. I think so.
That's how it ends. Because they got nuclear weapons, right?
That's right. Well, and, right now, the big question is Iran. What are we going to do with them? Because basically from October 7th, this has been the master plan, is to bring the United States into a war with Iran. It's what they've wanted to do for 20 years.
Right.
And, for reasons we could get into, Iran is the only challenger to Israel to be a regional power. It's Israel versus Iran, and that's it. And the reason being is because Iran has proxies in basically every country. The leader of Iran, the Ayatollah, is not just a political leader, he's a religious leader. Iran is the center of Shiite Islam, which is the second biggest sect of Islam. The king of Saudi Arabia, he's the custodian of the two mosques. He's the head of Sunni Islam. The Ayatollah in Iran is the head of Shiite Islam, and the clerics that run the country are the head of that branch. So they influence all the Shiite Muslims in the whole region. There's Shiite Muslims in Iraq, Alawites in Syria, in Bahrain, in Saudi Arabia, they're everywhere. So Iran influences all these Muslims in every other country religiously. And since the 80s, Iran's Revolutionary Guard has been training up all of these militias in the Shiite parts of the Middle East. So they raised up Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, these militias in Iraq. They infiltrated Syria. And so Israel has the United States. We pay off Egypt, Jordan. We have bases in Saudi Arabia, Qatar. We pay off the Emirates, Kuwait. We have half the region we and Israel has half the region because of our money, because of our military. Iran, they're the only other regional power because they influence these populations in all the other countries. They have this religious influence, military influence, and they are one of the more powerful countries just because of their characteristics. 90 million people, big middle class, diversified economy, they're educated. They have a nuclear program, missile program, drone program. They have a navy. So Israel and Iran, these are the last players standing. 40 years ago, you had Libya, you had Iraq, you had Egypt, you had Syria. These are all powerful countries. You had Sudan. One by one, they've all been destroyed. Iraq was destroyed by the United States. Syria, destroyed by the United States. Sudan, civil war, backed by Israel and the United States. Somalia is falling apart at the seams right now. Libya, overthrown by the United States. Iran and Israel, these are the last ones standing. After October 7th, Israel said, we're going to piece by piece dismantle Iran's empire, starting with Hamas, then Hezbollah, then the Houthis, and then we take out all of them, we're going to deliver the killing blow against Iran. Problem is, they can't take out Iran on their own, because if Israel attacks Iran, Iran's going to get a nuclear bomb. Iran has the capability to make one, but they haven't determined to make one yet, because they know if they do that, it will invite an attack from Israel and the United States. So they're on the fence. If they don't have any nuclear program, they're vulnerable. But if they get a bomb, they'll get attacked. Israel cannot attack Iran. They're not powerful enough. They need us to do it. But we, for obvious reasons, don't want to do it. We spent 20 years in Iraq and Afghanistan. We don't want to fight Iran. We have no beef with them. So Israel's trying to they're trying to manufacture a situation where we're both forced to fight each other. So last year in April, Israel bombed Iran's embassy in Syria, which is like totally against international law. Embassies are off limits. You just can't do that. It's like the foundation of all international law. Iran had to respond. If they don't, they look weak. This was their first provocation. Israel bombed their embassy to force Iran to attack Israel because they knew that if Iran counterattacked, the United States would be forced to intervene to defend Israel. So there was this intense diplomacy, where the United States, we put aircraft carriers there. We put all these assets there to send a message to Iran. If you attack Israel, we will destroy you. So Iran, they launched 50 missiles at Israel, didn't hit anything. They had to do something, but they couldn't do anything meaningful. If they did nothing, they would look like a bitch. But if they hit them too hard, the United States would retaliate. So Iran averted the confrontation. Then again in July, end of July, Israel assassinated the leader of Hamas inside Iran on their inauguration day. Iran was inaugurating a new president, and the Palestinian leader was visiting the capital. Israel blew him up. Mossad exploded his hotel where he was staying and killed him. Huge, once again, another major provocation. Could you imagine if a foreign head of state was killed in D.C. when Trump was being inaugurated? We would nuke them. We would blow them to pieces. Once again, Iran had to attack Israel. The United States pulled up again with 2 aircraft carriers, said, not so fast. If you intervene, we're going to hit you back. Iran waited 2 months. They did a much bigger attack on Israel. This time, some of the missiles hit. It was a little bit more severe. But again, the United States and Israel did not respond. Now that Trump is in office, Israel recognizes this is a perfect opportunity because Trump is a Zionist. Trump got $100 million from Miriam Adelson. He got money from the Israel lobby to become president. He appointed neocons. Mike Waltz, his national security advisor, wants war with Iran. Rubio, Secretary of State, wants war with Iran. They set this situation up. Lindsey Graham, he's a neocon, big ally of Trump. They set it up where now they're going to restart the war in Gaza. They've restarted the war with the Houthis in Yemen. That's the on-ramp to get the United States to bomb Iran. So this weekend, this is very topical, the Trump administration had a meeting with Iran. They sent Steve Witkoff. He met with the foreign minister of Iran. Trump said, you have 60 days to make a nuclear deal or else we're going to war. And everyone, including myself, said this is impossible. There's never going to be a nuclear deal. For complex reasons, it's just not going to happen. And if it happens, it's not going to happen in 60 days. So it's a guaranteed war. But it looks like it's looking up, like the meetings went well. Both sides said it was positive, said it was constructive. But if diplomacy becomes viable, if we get close to a deal, Israel's going to come back in and sabotage it. Israel's going to come in. They're going to do some provocation. Like, let's say, for example, what if, God forbid, some American base is attacked and it's blamed on Iran? There goes your deal. What happens if Israel attacks Iran? There goes your deal. Iran can't make a deal with the United States if they're getting attacked by Israel. So if we get too close to a deal, they're going to sabotage it. And they're going to put us on a path to war. And so I think it's basically unavoidable at this point that we're going to war with Iran. And then when Iran is destroyed, then Israel gets to do whatever they want. There'll be nobody left to oppose them. Whole Middle East will be under their influence. And they're in the center. Think about where Israel's located. They're in the middle of Asia, Europe, and Africa. They're in the center of all global trade. The Belt and Road that China's building, the rail, the shipping routes, all of it goes through the Middle East. And so when you control the Middle East, it's not like controlling, like Mexico or whatever. Right. You control the Middle East. It's like the most important region in the world. It's all the oil. It's all these other energy resources. It's all the supply chains, all the shipping routes.
Is that why Trump wants Greenland?
That's part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of, the Arctic is melting. And so that's going to be viable for shipping. It wasn't viable before because it was all ice, but now that it's melting, now there's going to be a lot of trade. It's also important for missile defense. If a missile comes from China, it's going to come over the Arctic. So we want to deploy radar so we could see that. So it's really for power projection. But yeah, you start to understand it all comes down to strategy, all comes down to military strategy. And Israel wants... If they take out Iran, they control everything, and it's a very important region to control. People don't even realize they're going to become a global power. People think of Israel as like our satellite. They're like our puppet or like a junior partner. In 50 years, Israel's going to be a big player. They're going to be a great power, like the UK was, like France. They're going to be a serious player. So people have no idea, and then they won't need us.
Right.
Then they'll be on their own. So that's a very scary situation where the United States doesn't have power over them or leverage.
Right.
Fuck.
What about Putin and president of China? How do you feel about, you think, about Israel?
Well, Putin is close with Israel. People don't realize this.
Yeah.
But that's because Russia has a huge Jewish population, always has. And so Putin has a rabbi, and he has good relations with Israel, and so does China for that matter. But insofar as Israel and the United States are joined at the hip, China and Russia are less pro-Israel than the United States. But they're never against Israel. You know, Israel's part of the Belt and Road, which is China's infrastructure project, and Israel's allied with Russia. So, you know, a lot of people think like, oh, Russia's fighting against this. They have their hands in everything, unfortunately. The only countries that are against Israel, it's Iran. That's about it. And that's who everyone wants to destroy.
Wow. That's crazy. Makes sense why Fox News and everybody's, the Muslims are a bunch of terrorists. They want to make like, we're just going there clean the house because these people are evil and they hate Christians.
Right. Well, yeah, because if they're terrorists, they got to go. So they just say anybody that sympathizes, you're supporting terrorism. It's like the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you feel about all your talking points becoming mainstream news now? All your talking points you've been talking about for years now, it's like it's more prevalent in like on Instagram, like everybody's sharing your same views.
Podcasts, influential people saying the exact same things you've been saying.
Yeah. It's shocking. I never thought it would happen this fast or that it would happen at all. Because years ago, I was radioactive, you know, in 2017, when I was saying this stuff back then, nobody would touch me with a 10-foot pole for saying this, and you would get banned, and that was part of it. So it's kind of unbelievable, and I'm actually a little bit skeptical of it, to tell you the truth, because I think that what you tend to find is that the system is very good at controlling the opposition. You know, controlled opposition's always, in my opinion, the biggest threat, which is to say that if you are running the country and you have like, you know, just because human nature, not everybody's going to agree with what you're doing, and you might be unpopular at times. So people are going to protest, rebel, resist, vote for the opposite party. So the most resilient way to run a country is to not only control your own side, but to also control the opposition. And this is how a lot of people look at the country, that the right and the left are really two sides of the same coin. You know, when people get tired of the left, they give you the right. People get tired of the right, they give you the left. But really, they're giving you a lot of the same stuff. And you get this illusion of change. Oh, well, you know, we got Trump in, now things are going to improve. Oh, we got the left in, now things are going to get better. And you kind of play both sides off of each other. And I think that in some ways, whereas I represent an organic opponent of the system, I'm someone that's actually criticizing some of the most important issues. They recognize it's becoming popular. They recognize people are resonating with that message, but they don't want someone that's independent to be saying it because they don't control me. They don't pay me. I kind of hate them because they ruined my life. So I'm, you know, if I ever had power, I would wield it against them. So they say, well, why don't we get someone that sounds like him, but they're really with us? And that person will be promoted. That person won't have barriers or obstacles. That person will become more popular. And that person, you know, they sound close enough, but they're not quite saying the same thing. And they can sound very close, but that person is never independent. That person will always be dependent on the system. And I think that's it's called infiltration, skin suiting. Like perfect example has happened with the Tea Party. Tea Party was organic. People said, all right, we've had enough of big government and taxes and the bailouts. We want to have another Tea Party. And Republicans figured it out. And Republicans just learned how to sound like Tea Partiers. And they infiltrated. People like Marco Rubio, he was one of the first. Pretended to be a Tea Partier. He was one of the big, he beat Charlie Crist in the primary in 2012 to win the nomination for the Senate seat in Florida. Then he gets in and betrays the Tea Party, joins a Gang of 8 on immigration, betrays all the fiscal conservatives. This is what they're very good at doing. And it's happened for many generations. It's like there's a rebellion on the conservative side. The base of the GOP says, the GOP isn't good. They're not conservative enough. We need to throw the bastards out and get good people. And there's a lot of energy behind it, but then the GOP, they just pick it up. They learn how to talk the talk. They learn how to make themselves seem like they're part of that rebellious part of the movement. That happened with the Buchananites, with the Paleocons. It happened with the America Firsters, anti-communists. And it happened with the Tea Partiers, and now it's happening with the Trumpists. I think J.D. Vance that's a perfect example. J.D. Vance in 2016 was saying Trump is Hitler. He's a rapist. Everything that the liberals were saying. People said he had an epiphany. No, he decided to run for Senate. And he knew he could only win if he had Trump's endorsement. So he's bitching about Trump for all these years. Trump's a Nazi. He's an idiot. He's a racist. I love Obama. Then Trump wins. And he goes, oh, shit. I got to run for Senate, and I'm against the sitting president. So Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance's mentor and a major donor to Trump, sets up a meeting. And Vance and Thiel and Trump sit down at Mar-a-Lago, and they broker a truce. J.D. Vance becomes MAGA. Oh, now he's a big Trump supporter. That's your epiphany. And Trump endorses him, and then he becomes a senator. And it's like, and now people think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but that's just textbook infiltration. So I'm very skeptical of anybody that sounds like me, Say it when it was difficult. Now it's easy to say it. And now you got people saying it to make money. Now you got people saying it because if they learn the truth. Some people are saying it because they're trying to steal the credibility that people like me have earned for telling the truth when it was difficult. And they're redirecting it back into the same politics.
It's crazy, man. Just when you think you know something. You invite Nick Fuentes on your show. Makes you feel like a dumb fuck. Hey, man.
So that's why people don't want to interview you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, what do people have to gain from interviewing me? You get canceled.
I'm about ready to just give up now.
Yeah.
Why even try to solve making sense now? It's fucking, it's crazy. Yeah. How corrupt our government is. Yeah. We actually are the United States of Israel. We're funding everything for them. We fund everything.
This out. But Hitler was right.
Kanye was right.
There you go. Yeah. It's demoralizing, but the good news is people are, this is not the scenario they prefer. People are waking up.
Yeah.
And it is a big threat to them. And they're always going to have a counter. We were telling the truth. They were censoring us. We prevailed. The censorship stopped. People are being persuaded. Now they have to deploy a countermeasure. Their countermeasure is to muddy the waters, infiltrate.
Have you seen people, they're actually calling you a Fed now?
Yeah, that's the new thing. Yeah. Didn't take long. I was a Nazi for 4 years, and now I'm a Fed. Okay. Can't win.
Well, that's an improvement, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it?
Yeah. Right.
At least the Nazi thing was closer to being true,
Yeah. The left, Harris, Biden, are they supportive of Israel?
Yeah, they are.
They are.
Yeah, they all are. But Biden was AIPAC's man. Biden was the Israel lobby's man. He was the number one recipient of Israel money in the Senate for decades. But there's factionalism even among the Jewish people. Biden had allies in Israel's government that are against Netanyahu. And so they just have a different, there's factionalism among the Jews, among Israelis. Right. So it's not as people like to just, it's the Jews. It is a little more nuanced than that. But at the end of the day, they're all on the same side.
Same side.
The ADL and Ben Shapiro were on the same side on October 7th. That's all you need to know. They pretend like they're not, but they are.
Hey, Tim Pool, I think he just, he met up with Netanyahu, didn't he? Yeah. It's kind of weird, right? Dave Rubin, too. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what else is weird? They both got money from Russia. Remember that?
Right. Yeah.
Dave Rubin and Tim Pool, they were both Tenet guys. Tenet was that media company with Lauren Chen that got busted because they got all this money from Russia. It was funded by Russia, undisclosed.
Yeah.
And then they're the ones at the Netanyahu meeting. So it's like,
was it Russian money?
Yeah. Well, yeah, right? It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's a huge nexus, Russia and Israel. But it just goes to show, it's like, is there anybody in the conservative media landscape that isn't taking foreign money?
Yeah.
Because Tim Pool is a pretty popular guy.
Yeah.
He's left on YouTube. And you wonder, how does a radical pro-Trump guy how does he stay on YouTube? Well, I think you just found your answer. With Netanyahu in Russia.
Yeah.
They're getting foreign money. So, and he calls me a Fed. It's like, I'm not meeting with Bibi Netanyahu. So I think I'm good, actually. You know, I didn't get money from Russia.
Right.
But point is, like, things are way more complicated than they seem. People think, at the end of the day, that's what red pill means. People think red pill means being like conservative. It doesn't mean being conservative.
Right.
In the movie The Matrix, where it comes from, they realized they were living in a simulation. It was a created world. Everything they saw was manufactured. It was generated. It was all a lie. And the red pill was to realize this world is not what it seems. It's an illusion.
Right.
And the blue pill is to say, I don't care. I'm going to live in the illusion. The illusion's more comfortable than the reality. I prefer, there's a famous line, the guy that takes a blue pill says, well, steak still tastes like steak. Even though it's not real, still feels good. Right. And so what the red pill means in politics is, to put it at the most fundamental level, if you take the idea in its simplest form, it means things are not as they seem. The world is not what it seems to be. What it seems to be is, Tim Pool. I like that guy. I like what he says. People watch the show. I agree with that guy. That guy's making a lot of sense. Because you got some boomer out there, Gen Xer, and they watch that guy, and they're like, that guy's, there's like this implicit identity where they say, that guy's like me. And who am I? I'm some guy who works some job. I'm out there in the world. I have my opinions. Tim Pool's like me. He's some guy in the world with opinions. He's on YouTube. He's saying them. We think a lot alike. That's not really what's going on. Because you aren't meeting with Bibi Netanyahu and getting money from Russia. Right. He is. Right. It's sort of like watching a football game and saying, I like watching football. Yeah. I like going to the games and eating popcorn. I like watching it on TV and wearing the jersey. Yeah. The people that play the game are like me. It's like, no, they're not. Right. They're playing the game. You're watching the game. Right. And similarly, Tim Pool and Shapiro, they're playing the game. You're watching the game. It's a different dynamic. But that's part of that. It's built on that fundamental deception, which is, these people that are in conservative media, they're just guys with opinions just like us, but they're not. They're in this political world. They have to get paid. How are they getting paid? They're getting, in many cases, by foreign governments. How are they staying on YouTube? How are they running in these circles? Trade-offs, deals being made behind the scenes. That's all of them, and I know enough of them to know that. Covert influence. So that's the dirty secret. And when the red pill starts to come through, it's sort of like the simulation starts to crumble. It's like the Truman Show boat hits the painting. Right. That's what Ye said. It's like my favorite expression. He says, my Truman Show boat hit the painting. Yeah. It's like, wait, Tim Pool was meeting with Netanyahu? He got money from Russia? Maybe we can't leave this town,
Yeah. I heard Daily Wire, they're struggling. Financially, Is that true?
It is.
Yeah.
That's what they say. And it's because, no one's buying in anymore. People were buying in when they were the only game in town. But now that censorship is going away and you have Andrew Tate, you got Candace Owens, you got Elijah Schaffer, you got Myron, you guys, now that censorship is going away, and people are getting the truth, they're like, why do I need this propaganda? You don't need to listen to Shapiro say, here's why Israel's right. He's just lying. Everyone knows that. People don't. That was a competitive, viable option when anyone that disagreed was banned on the internet. People love Shapiro when, if you were to the right of Shapiro, you weren't able to have a YouTube channel. But now that you can, people are like, I want to hear about conspiracy theories. I want to hear the whole truth. So I think that's a huge reason why they're going out of business.
Like they still have Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles. Do you think it's going to dissolve?
I don't know. I don't know enough about the dynamics there. I hope Matt Walsh quits. He's a Catholic.
Right. Yeah.
You'd think that he would
Makes
have
sense
some
for him to quit.
Yeah. I mean, what's keeping him there? I guess the money.
Well, Brett Cooper, she left. They kept the channel. He would start all over again.
You have to start all over again.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be hard for him to do that, but all those years, all those videos, all that work went into it, and they can just keep it and say, you're gone. It's like...
What a Jewish thing to do.
It's insane.
Yeah.
They literally got him by the fucking nuts.
Yeah. It's no different than the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to Ye.
Right.
Ye went against them, and then they literally froze his money at Apple, froze his money at Adidas. All the stuff that he thought was his, it's actually theirs. That's what the contract says. So it's like that's how they centralize control. It's crazy. People, once again, it's like people just don't know how it works behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And that's how we have this. Everyone that's put in front of us is controlled. They're on strings. Except for us.
I'm glad you said that.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Gotta be positive.
Hey, do you have any political aspirations? Run for office, Senate?
I don't know. I don't think I'm cut out. I have no impulse control. Like you guys. No.
Well, you trying to say you're black?
Yeah, exactly. I'm too black to run from. Swinging on people and just saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
No, probably not. I don't think I could win. I'm too short. Everyone hates me.
Oh, man. Hey, man. So where can people find you now?
I'm on Rumble. Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Maybe you think someday you'll be able to, have some of the things that natural born citizens like me and everybody else have at their disposal if they'll be afforded back to you?
I hope so. I think it's changing.
Yeah.
It seems like we're, wokeism seems to be over.
Yeah.
It is, totally is.
Yeah.
But I look back at like 2013, it feels like a different universe,
Yeah.
You look back on those days and I grew up in those days and it's like everybody was, it felt like wokeism. I hate that expression, but it is what it is. It felt like it was unstoppable. Like that's how it'd always be forever. It's just like more gay, more women, more, whatever.
Dude, before I let you go, did you hear Kanye's newest song?
I did.
Yeah, of course he did.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as he got the Kanye, say, man, listen to my new song. Here it is, man. Yeah, that is nuts.
What's he doing with that, Nick? Is he just trolling? Or
It's going on the new album.
Wow.
is he just like stress testing the world? Or is that what he's trying to do? He's trying to push it to the limit?
He just likes to put them out there, see how the people feel about it. But yeah, it's supposed to be part of the new, what did he say the new title's going to be? White Rape? He said it's what it's going to be called.
That's the title of the album?
Yeah. As he said on his Twitter, maybe you cut this out. He says between White Rape and Nigger Cock. Those are the two names. He put it to a vote.
Oh, man. That is crazy. Yeah, it seems like he's got a great sense of humor.
Oh, yeah. One of the funniest people I've ever met.
Really?
No, just for real. Great sense of humor. So funny.
Yeah, he's been going back and forth lately with Taylor Swift and Beyonce, and that's just funny, dude. He said Justin Bieber and Harry Styles did a threesome on her. Is he trolling or is there any truth to that?
He said, no, this is legit. He said, that's the truth. So they sent him a cease and desist letter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He did.
His Twitter's funny, man. I'm dying laughing the stuff he does.
Jesus Christ.
That's the album cover.
Oh, yeah?
Uh-huh.
This dude is nuts. Oh, man. Hey, man. Thanks for coming.
All right, hey.
It's been great.
Yeah.
So everybody
Listen,
can
you
find you
guys.
on Rumble?
Yes.
Okay,
Rumble
cool.
and X.
That was a damn good show. Yeah.